We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 80. Now, I will not go too deep into what we said backstage. All I will say is Cole took this week as well off. Let's hope this week he will feel better. So next week we may have him again if he feels like it. Anyhow, Gray, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. It hasn't been that bad of a week. Yeah, some really cool flicks that we got to check out this time. So, yeah, not doing that bad.
Oh, that's really good news. What about you, DC? How are you?
I've been doing fine. Today was not the best, but the last couple of days has been very good.
Well, this is great news. Anyhow, I wish Cole the best. Heal well, my friend. And let's get into Spider-Man 2002, the classic that so many praises. I have nostalgia with that. Do you, Gray? You were a bit older, but did you have like nostalgia toward that movie?
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember it. It is definitely the Spider-Man movie I've seen the most in my life. So, yeah, there is a certain something to that. But, yeah, I don't know if I have quite the same nostalgia that you do, but I'd be kind of more interested in DC's opinion on
Yeah,
it,
I actually
getting
do
it
have
with kind of fresh
I do
eyes.
have a lot of nostalgia. But it was actually the third film is actually I actually got Spider-Man 3 is actually part of my childhood guided was one of the very few superhero movies I actually owned alongside the lovely Dark Knight and of course Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. So yeah, it was that's why this trilogy is important to me, and it also got me into a lot of the Spider-Man characters. Like Peter Parker, Flash Thompson, all those guys. Yeah. But my most nostalgic with the first one is I one time remember breaking one of the discs. The DVD I had was like two discs, where one disc I broke because I didn't know how to get it open or something like that, and I broke it. But yeah.
Things happen. So to get you on the loop, Alex, we
Yes.
are
Hello.
currently talking about Spider-Man 2002. And how are you
Yes.
today,
I'm
Alex?
good, man. I'm sorry for being late. I was cooking. I thought it would be faster. I couldn't leave my food on the stove. I had to burn up the house. So I apologize.
No, safety first.
Yeah,
We can do
safety
the
first.
podcast second.
And
There you
and
go.
again, we still started later anyhow because I needed to say something backstage. I will share it to you after the stream and DMs. But yeah, so I'm glad you're there. That's amazing. So Spider-Man 2002. Did you add any nostalgia? I do think you're a bit older than me, but did you add any nostalgia with this
Me?
movie? Yeah.
I mean, I'm 30. So that's my age.
Oh, you're younger than I thought. I thought you were like easy, like 10 years older than me.
Yeah, that's because of the bald.
Yeah,
That's why.
exactly.
That's.
Well,
No,
that's close from home then. 2002. So why is
yeah.
that your first superhero movie?
It was, and actually, I rewatched it to do this, and thank you. I want to thank you for putting it on the roster because it was such a pleasure rewatching this. I haven't seen it in years, and God, Sam Raimi is such an amazing director. He knows his shit so much, and
Yeah.
you
Go on.
watch it in this one, and there's so many little details and little things that he does just to enhance the story and everything. I like just a quick example, something that I really like. When Peter gets bit in the lab scene, um, like the camera pans to a screen where you see a DNA strand, and some text appears next to it. And if you look at the text, it lists his superpowers. It lists like the powers that he acquired. So super strength, super speed, spider sense. All of that is on there, and then it just says a new species. Uh,
Yeah. And they
it's
also tell you different powers of different spiders. Like the lab girl. So
Yeah.
that was like good foreshadowing for what was coming next.
Oh, absolutely. Just one thing that I wrote down was the, the way that they introduce every character is just so brilliant, and it tells you like right away what they're like. For the rest of the story, Peter, who's kind of a dork, he's introduced like running after the bus. And the way they introduce MJ once he's on the bus, like everybody hates him and looks away when he passes them by, except for MJ. She's the only one who looks at him directly, and I think that says a lot about their character as well. And they do that for like every character, for even like for the minor ones, like the scientist that helps Osborn in the beginning, and Osborn himself, with that goddamn meme. I'm, I'm something of a scientist myself, which is just beautiful. And yet the whole movie is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. When he starts changing, of course, it's a very obvious metaphor for puberty. With him like feeling those changes and having to deal with them. I think rewatching it now, it doesn't work quite as well because everybody looks like they're 35 from the start. But that's more of a casting issue than anything. Yeah, and I really like the way like he uses the color green. I don't know if you guys noticed this when rewatching it, but like as soon as Norman Osborn turns into the Goblin, the color green is just suddenly everywhere near Peter. Like it's always somewhere in the background. There's always something green, just to remind us, and to remind him that there's a threat somewhere that's related to this guy.
Yep.
And I just love how God, Sam Raimi, like it was, before the MCU, before all of that, and so people didn't really know how to make a superhero movie. It was one of the very few like first times that they did it successfully, and Sam Raimi leans in so hard in the comic book aspect, and not only in the way that he shoots and directs everything, but also in the cheese of the dialogue. That dialogue is so cheesy, like the one-liners, the geekiness, the dorkiness of every line, and a lot of them just make me laugh so much. Like you have like that one dialogue near the climax, when Goblin is holding MJ in one hand and the cart full of kids in the other one, and he in his line, I think it goes something like, it's a full thing to be a hero because you never know when a lunatic will come up and present you with a sadistic choice: save the woman you love or suffer the little children. Make your choice, Spider-Man. It's so cheesy, it's so comic booky, but it works so well. And it's everywhere in the direction, and I think that's something that's missing from the MCU and from all of those movies. Like the comic book roots are not as much leaned in as this one. So yeah, I just think it's a beautiful movie, and Sam Raimi coming from horror as a director, there's so many little things that call back to his to his legacy as a horror director. Like when Peter gets bit and like he starts transforming, and there's like jump scares in the movie. When Goblin like attacks him in the building that's on fire. There are like so many little callbacks to his horror sensibilities that are going to be deployed even more in the sequels later. So yeah, like I'd say my only like negative point on the movie as a whole is that sometimes I have like a little bit of trouble taking the story seriously. Because everything is so comic booky. But that's a very slim little problem. So yeah, overall, I think it's a very, very good movie. I'm so happy I rewatched it. And Willem Dafoe is a treasure, and he should be protected at all costs. There you go. So that's what I have to say about Spider-Man.
You see, you would fully agree with Cole on that. Cole is a huge William Dafoe fan.
Yeah, I love Willem Dafoe. He's perfect.
Some of the picks he had for some of the weeks we covered movies, were based because Willem Dafoe was in a movie. It happened a lot.
Yes, I agree. You know what? Yes, he's right. Willem Dafoe is a gem, and he's one of the best actors working today.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. So
Oh,
DC, what did you think of the Spider-Man movie outside of nostalgia and stuff? What did you
Yeah,
think of it? Did you have
yeah. I think it's
issues or stuff?
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and kind of like what Alex said, it's like it's a very good it was like one of the very first few superhero movies that actually be like got it to what we have nowadays superhero movies, you know um and like he said, it was very comic booky, which I agree is something the MCU completely forgets about. And another aspect of this film that I always enjoyed was how it actually captures Spider-Man character and actually does it in a way that, in my opinion, is actually better than the comics. You see, I'm not the biggest fan of Spider-Man in the comics. I just think he's a very bland character. I think it's very obvious Batman ripoff. One of the most obvious things is Batman ripoff. But in this film, he's almost different in compared to say
mhm.
Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. You know, Peter Parker in this film obviously he's a teenager like me, and he gets bitten by a spider, and of course he learns his powers throughout the film, especially when he finds how his powers are showing up in school, especially when like with a fork, and then
Yeah.
he learns how to shoot webs and the fight with
That whole
five
sequence is
constantly.
perfect. That whole sequence is perfect.
Yeah. Like it's good because it actually does show what a real life person, if they actually get superpowers, and how they would react like that. Um, I also have him for nostalgia for like a very funny like Falcon Punch video where it was like that it was so funny. But yeah, um, and also we gotta have the DC references when Spider-Man says Shazam. Love the DC references. Little disappointed we didn't get a Green Lantern in this film, but for story for another day. Um, Green Goblin. Love his character. I think Willem Dafoe was perfect. I think he did. They actually captured the Green Goblin very well and made him feel a little bit more like a very how do I say, a very like
Tangible.
yeah, I guess like that.
Hmm.
I also like the costume, which I know a lot of people do not like, but honestly, I think Green Goblin's costume in the comics for me just doesn't work because you can clearly tell that they base him off on Joker a bit. I think in the film it works perfectly because, yeah, he has the goblin like suit, but he feels more like an armored like character, like Iron Man. So that's why I think Green Goblin works in the film very well. And I also like
I
how personal he was to Peter Parker. It's like not only
yes.
was he the father of Peter's best friend, but also tried killing his aunt and his um girl or crush. So I was like, it's very villain, more personal, more worst enemy type thing compared to in the comics where he just murders his girlfriend, which kind of cements him as his worst enemy. But I don't think that should be enough for him to be. I also do like how some of the supporting characters and how they evolve later on. Harry Osborn, I think, is the perfect example, but we're gonna get more into that when we get to
Hmm.
Spider-Man 2 and more specifically Spider-Man 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
As for
absolutely.
yeah,
Even though
yeah,
it's weird to rewatch it today because we know how much of a creep James Franco really is. so, so it didn't
yeah,
fully work for me because of that. Yeah, I agree, and all the characters are so well written and so well developed.
yeah,
Yeah, you're very much right about Willem Dafoe and the Green Goblin like being more personal to Peter. Like that Thanksgiving sequence, so cool.
yeah,
And the way he figures out that Peter and Spider Man are the same person. You know?
yeah, yeah. And I didn't even notice that when I was younger. It took me until a while for me to realize, oh, that actually is a smart way. It's not like in the MCU films where it makes no sense, but yeah, yeah. As for
Yeah, it really
any,
does.
yeah, as for any negatives I have, um, There really isn't, apart from the fact we don't have Green Lantern and Optimus Prime in this film. That would have been 10 out of 10 film. But yeah, other than that, perfect movie, one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Yeah. I do want to say about what you said about the costume, Green Goblin's costume. Even though I think the costume itself looks cool, it really prevents us to appreciate Willem Dafoe's acting range fully because of the way it hides his whole face, and that's something
Yeah.
that No Way Home understood very well when they break that mask like in the first scene where he appears in. But yeah, apart from that, I agree. I don't think it would have worked any other way in for a costume like that.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
You said, do you want to add something else?
Oh no, I was just to say I'm pretty much done. Not sure if Gray or you want to go multi.
I will let Gray go next because I want to go last. So Gray, what do you
Okay.
think of Spider-Man?
So it is, you got to think of like the time that it was released. So like what we'd had before this, we had like 89 Batman, and then they started getting a little bit campier until you got to Batman and Robin a little bit before this. So you've got the Bat Skates and Mr. Freeze. It's interesting. And then like 2 years before this, they did Fox's X-Men, which okay, they like didn't go to the costumes, they literally mocked the yellow spandex in the movie, but this is like the closest we've gotten to a comic book like so far. So for where it is in time, I think it is awesome, and it was definitely the best Spider-Man we got up till that point. I'm not the biggest fan of it, and I think it's because I'm biased. I'm not a huge Tobey Maguire fan, and I remember thinking that like in the time. I think he does good in this, but I always see him as kind of dark Peter Parker or whatever from 3, and I just kind of can't shake that. So I don't know. So I am a little bit biased against Tobey, but I'm super biased for Sam Raimi. I just love that guy, and I love his movies up until this point. This was like his attempt to go mainstream, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys know like the trouble that this movie went through. Originally, it was supposed to be I think there was at one point Michael Bay was supposed to do it, but I think most recently it was James Cameron. I think even before James Cameron, though, it was like Michael Bay was originally like told he was one of the options, and Stan Lee really pushed for Sam Raimi. But this actual script, now I'm blanking. James Cameron came up with a bunch of parts of it, and they kind of used that script to work off of. So in that, it had the whole like webs coming from him, actually, instead of the web cartridges, instead of web shooters, which is really interesting that that's like the holdover from the James Cameron script that they really wanted to keep.
It's very body horror like, so it fits with Sam Raimi.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Like I would have thought that stuff came from Sam Raimi because it is Sam Raimi, but apparently no, which is odd. So there's like little changes like that. I don't know, they don't bug me so much. There is some amazing performances in this. I did feel more empathetic with Tobey Maguire in it than I thought I would, but it's still really hard for me to connect with him. But I love Willem Dafoe. And this gives us the introduction of the MCU's greatest character, J. Jonah Jameson. It just is so amazing. Like J.K. Simmons just has this character down, and I don't know why, but it is just like so amazing. And he is the best performance of that character, and they keep keeping him in different versions, and I love it. That is the best part of the MCU for me. And this created that, which is just awesome. And then Willem Dafoe is just like amazing. I really do like his kind of turn and his like almost I don't know if you'd call it like so much chewing the scenery as like devouring everything around him. It's really awesome. And like some of those scenes, they're over the top, and they're supposed to be. And there's a whole bunch of like Raimi angles and like camera movement that I don't know. It really works for like horror and stuff. And you get to some of that coming up in 2, and I can't wait for some of those shots. But you still see some of those in this, and it's really amazing. I love the way that guy can conceptually see how a scene should play out. And then I love what he was doing with actually adding like kind of comic book frames into that so that it kind of gets into that. So you really do get that kind of visual that it is kind of the page come to life. And I think Raimi did an amazing job with that. But I do have some problems with it. Some of it is the Green Goblin's costume. So I don't hate it for the most part, but like you're mentioning, like you just don't get much expression, and then you can kind of see his mouth moving inside of the mouth, so you can see that like the lines aren't matching up. It's little things like that. The CG, it really takes me out at certain points. I love that he did a lot of the practical stuff, like you mentioned, with like the fruit or the food. I think it's a milk carton and some Jello and whatever. That's really cool. Like you can see that there was like a sticky thing on the bottom of an apple if you like really like slow it down, and you can see that there's like magnets in them. But he did it practically, and like that really holds up. Where some of the CG that they used like later on, like specifically I remember the Green Goblin like jumping on the like glider thing and then it taking off. It just, there's like no weight to it at all. Like they just did not have that mapped out yet.
Yeah,
So
but
I love
it
that
was
he
2002.
did a lot of practical.
It's 2002.
Yes,
like
exactly.
It was,
And I think that's, yeah, and that was one of the reasons why like James Cameron didn't make it. They said like the technology just wasn't there. So this was the first time that they said it was there, and fair enough. So some of those shots don't really hold up for me. They kind of take me out of it a little bit. Where I don't know. I think this was around the same time as like Crouching Tiger. I think it was a little bit before. I think you could have done some really cool wire work, but I don't know if that would have been expensive or if you could really do all of that. And then there's some really cheesy lines, but you know, that is kind of how Peter Parker talks in the comics. That is kind of how some of the characters talk. But yeah, to just see it coming out of Willem Dafoe is amazing. So that like boosts it up a little bit for me. But I think they really, and I love the whole depiction of Peter Parker and his arc. I think he actually gets that. And, you know, you really do feel it at the end where like finally he does get the girl interested in him, but he knows now that like he can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I did feel that weight like a ton more on the rewatch of this.
That scene
But
hurts.
I think there is yeah. And I think there is a character that he just got so wrong. And I think that is Aunt May. This is not my May. And it sucks. I think Uncle Ben, like I think the dude who played him is awesome. Like I really dig that. But I think out of like every depiction of Aunt May, like this is kind of the bottom to me. Like this doesn't feel like her. So there's just little things like that kind of take me out. But for the most part, this is awesome. I really like it. It kind of was the most comic bookish superhero movie up until that time. And I really dug it.
I can see why. I can see it.
Can I add a little something?
Yeah.
Well, two things. So one is directly related to the movie. The other is not quite, but you'll see. Yeah, you talked about like the period in which it was made, and you need to remember this is 2002. It's 1 year after 9/11, and that played a part in the marketing. There were those.
Yeah. Did you guys ever see that original? Well, did you ever see the original trailer? It was really amazing and captivating. But yeah, that whole thing they had to scrap.
So there was that poster, where you saw him like hanging off the Twin Towers, and in the trailer, like with the helicopter just webbed between the towers, and and this really like was a movie that was needed at the time because it was a very light movie after the U.S. experienced something super dark, and so the fact that it came out at that specific moment, I think, really helped its success because it was light, it was fun, and it was about an American hero, which I feel like they really needed culturally at the time.
Yeah. And a lot of the posters that have Spider-Man like climbing or shooting webs. If you look closely in the eye pocket of Spider-Man, you can actually see the Twin Towers and
and the reflection, right?
Yeah.
And another thing you talked about, you talked about the guy who played the Uncle Ben, Cliff Robertson, who used to be a really, really prolific actor in the 70s and 80s. But something happened. So this is, I'm going to make it short because it's a long story. But basically, he was blacklisted from the studios for years and years because he denounced some fraud that was being perpetrated by the studio heads in Hollywood, and and it got some of them arrested and thrown in jail, and so they hated that, and he was blacklisted for years, and his career died off. And then Sam Raimi picked him up after like 30 years of him not being able to get a single role in anything. So yeah, that's the story
Well,
behind
hell
Chris
yeah.
Robertson.
I'm glad,
Wow.
like even Spider-Verse was sampling his line from this, the responsibility line, the classic one. So that's awesome that he's
Yeah,
even getting more work, or
yeah.
his
I mean,
estate
now he
is.
died, but yeah, now he's dead. But still, like the fact that he was blacklisted for that long and Sam Raimi gave him another chance, that is just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, and Malden, like, I and in fact, like, maybe he did something wrong in term like when like NDAs and stuff. But in fact, if he denounced stuff, I mean, he did the right thing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on top of that, even if he did something wrong, you know, like I'm someone that really believes in second chances. So when I see someone being given a second chance, I gain faith again in people, because I feel like it's lost.
Hmm.
Like, we are so harsh on others, and we want retribution, we want vengeance, you know. We don't really think through things. We are just answering to our instinct and feeling of the moment. Anyhow, I will read out what Cole has told about the first Spider-Man movie. Um, Classic, great film. It has some of date aspect and cheesiness to it, but it honestly fits to an extent the charm that Sam Raimi went for its time. Almost all of the performance in it were good. It's too bad the Green Goblin suit was just a Power Ranger suit. I agree. But they changed it mid production to that so audience could see more of the full actual face, and I'm at least happy for that, as he was great in it as always. I love the practical effects in the film, and many action and dark sequences, music, camera work, and editing were all good. I'm not a big fan of Maguire as an actor, but he at least fit the role with what Raimi needed at the time. Definitely a product of its time and isn't perfect, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm a giant Spider Man fanboy, so I'm going to overpraise these films for a bit. So this was cool, and we got Patrick incoming. Hi, Patrick, welcome back. I'm glad to see you, bro.
Hello,
Um,
boys.
Hey,
so
hey.
we
Hey, what's
we
up,
are
Gray?
we are currently talking about the first Spider-Man movie. Have you seen that one?
Which one? The
The
Tobey Maguire
2000.
first one, right?
Yeah,
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 2002.
of
2002.
course, of course.
Oh,
That movie was game changing.
hell yeah! So let us know, man. What did you think of it?
I mean, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen it, and I'm ill prepared as normal. But but yeah, I remember that movie being so goddamn game changing because it was so crisp and so real, and it was the first time we really got to take like a comic book movie seriously. I felt. Uh, um, I'm trying to put like timelines of other movies around then that was a comic book type movies, but
X-Men was 2 years before it, but
Yeah,
prior
and
to
there was
that,
Blade also a bit
Batman
before.
and
and
Blade,
Robin killed that. Yeah, Blade was 98.
And
and yeah, I mean,
Fantastic Four was
I
like 2005, I believe.
yeah, and I feel like I don't know, it was just something different about it. I get maybe it was even the suit, and it was something more. Like I didn't really care about X-Men and stuff when I was a kid, but I liked Superman, I liked Spider-Man, like, uh, but I just remember it being very like um, just crisp and beautiful and game changing. And Tobey Maguire looked ripped, and there's just so many amazing scenes in that, and it was still teetered on that edge, I feel like, of some practical effects and the CGI mixed in. That's why, I feel like you could really lose yourself in it more than the CGI fest we get today, like, say, like an Ant-Man or something, versus a Quantum Verse being like such a larger scale, but doesn't even touch the first Spider-Man.
I agree with that, man. Well said. It's game changing, as you said. Do you remember having any issues with that movie whatsoever?
I mean, I really, honestly, I can't remember that. I can't remember back that far. I'm sure if I dug deep enough, or if I gave it a rewatch, I'd find tons of problems with it. But no, that's really, I remember it fondly. So
This is good. This is good. So I will sound like that crazy one. I have nostalgia toward that movie. I liked that movie even on the rewatch. Like, that's a childhood movie for me, and I was entertained watching it again. But I have so many issues with this movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I still liked it. Like, that's the kind of movie that's entertaining but not really great. Following my my points and my issues. So to start off with my issues, um, telling instead of showing that Peter is a scientist. I wanted to see them like doing the science stuff, instead of just telling us, "Oh yeah, you're a scientist." Show us, like, make him do some like science stuff in the lab. I don't know. Maybe it got caught off like in cutscenes.
wait,
Yeah,
wait,
no.
wait!
It's not really
I
the
gotta push
focus.
back. What?
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
What's your problem? That Peter's not enough of a scientist? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
it's
They
that they
didn't
don't
show
show it.
They didn't.
They
They
tell
didn't show
they
it.
tell us.
They just
What?
tell you, yeah.
Well, what do you want? I mean, what do you want?
I-
I would assume it's assumed that he's there because he
I
he's in the
mean,
posi-
creating your own like web shooters or something would be pretty cool and would show
Yeah.
that he has a really good scientific mind. But I guess they went a different direction with it. The whole
But
bio
I do
webs.
I do
Okay, fair
think
enough.
that
Fair
you're
enough.
I do
I
think
was
you're a
thinking
bit
more like,
wrong.
I'm sorry, I'm
The-
talking over somebody. Go ahead.
That's cool. Yeah, I think you're a bit wrong because in that scene at the lab, he geeks out over everything that he sees, and I feel like that shows us a lot of his personality and a lot of his interests as a character. And I even though it's dialogue, I don't think it's over explained. I don't think it's over exposition. I think it just him, it's building his character. They show him being a dork, loving science, and how the people in his class respond to that. So I feel like it works really well. So I think you're wrong on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I will.
he shows an aptitude for sure.
I I
Excuse
will
me.
add a bit more because yesterday I had time to watch the second one, and I feel like in the second one they kind of fixed it for me the way where he sees Octo Octavius and they talk about science, and then through the dialogue they kind of showcase that Peter knows what he is talking about. So, like, I feel like the second movie in the franchise actually served a better purpose to like tell the viewer he knows science. Again, in this movie it's just an exposition dump, and I feel like the other iteration, if we place it side by side, like the amazing one may have issues that are other issues, but at least there he is shown like he created his web shooter. Like, even like Tom Holland Spider-Man, same thing. Like, they show us that, oh, he is able to create that web shooter even like after Stark took the suit or something. So yeah, I just feel like that's a weakness this movie has. Uh, Next issue I got with the first Spider-Man movie: plot convenience, the spider happening to be near Peter to bite him. And I got a fix there, but it didn't happen in the movie. How to fix it?
Yeah, but that's like the biggest canon thing, like with
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I know,
What are you gonna
but
do?
it's a
So
plot
you're saying you don't like
convenience.
Spider-Man, basically, is what
Yeah.
you're
It's
saying.
a plot convenience. Now, let me read out my
It's
fix
a
to it.
superhero book,
Let
though. Like,
me
it's
read
full of
out
plot
my
convenience. But
fix.
okay.
Yeah,
Fix
Let-
Spider-Man.
like why does
Uh,
Superman always have to be from Krypton? You know, it's bullshit. Why can't he be from Mars?
How to fix it. Make Peter come in the lab many days in a row and showcase that, yeah, it's not the only time a spider just break loose of its containment unit.
But that would fuck with the pacing so much.
But I'd rather this
No, just a
than just
montage.
having a random spider showing up when he is that day on that lab.
And then you have to think like how many fucking Spider-Mans are we going to end up with if there's just spiders running willy-nilly all over these labs all the time?
Hell
Like,
yeah!
what's more likely?
Hell yeah!
One spider gets out and bites Peter Parker, or shitloads of spider get out and then happen to get Peter Parker.
Hell
And
yeah!
without getting anybody else, you know?
Problem solved, guys. Make the villains not Green Goblin. Make like many spiders the villains.
I mean, what did you want? Did you want like the spider to be consciously attacking Peter? Like she spots it from far away.
No,
and
I
then she's
said what
like,
I wanted.
Okay, I need
It's
to
like,
fight him.
It's a revenge story. Peter tortured it at one point.
It's like there's that son of a bitch Peter. He's back again. Better not touch my magazines. I'm gonna bite that son of a bitch.
again, if he were in that lab more often, to just like, oh, he happens to be there at the same time as that spider just broke loose of its containment unit, I would be fine with it. But it's just like so many convenient things. Oh, spider broke loose. Oh, Peter in the lab as spider broke loose. It's
Well,
like,
yeah,
no.
but it's a field trip. It makes sense that he's there. It's a field trip. It's not like he just
It's
went
so
there.
red
I don't know,
Right.
man. It's like saying, like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
literally taking any superhero origin story and being like, that is just so convenient. It's like,
It-
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so convenient that Batman, that Bruce Wayne is rich. So convenient.
I'll
Hell
take it.
yeah.
I'll take it further, Gray. It's taking any story ever, anything that ever happens ever. You're like, why
Not
is that? Why
always.
was he there? Why'd that happen?
Again, I do that in everything. It's not the only instance where I point out a plot convenience. Next up would be plot armor on Flash. The punch should have greatly injured or deleted the bully to be YouTube friendly. Like he has super strength, and at that point he doesn't really control his powers. He has super strength, right? So why didn't he like knock him out or send him at the hospital or something?
Because it's not that type of movie.
And it's baby
What?
super strength.
Baby super strength. Guys are trying so hard to defend this movie. And again, I liked it. I liked it, guys. I just think it has issues.
Well, I feel. Well, yeah, but
I think
you
it
have
does
to-
too, but I don't think these are them.
Why didn't he
You
steal
have
his car?
to. So here's the thing, man. You have to. You can criticize the movie, but it has to be in the movie's own terms. Like if you take like a Harry Potter and you're like, yeah, well, there's no magic in real world, so that's a problem. Plot convenience.
Seems like a plot convenience that they can do magic.
Like, why wasn't
Movies-
Hogwarts a Catholic school?
Movies don't work like that. You need to criticize them within their own boundaries, their own.
I can suspend disbelief, okay? I can do that, but depends on what, okay? Like, I get it. That spider gave Peter power. I get it. Like, I'm fine with that aspect, but it's more like what's around that spider biting Peter that bothers me.
I mean, if it doesn't bite him, it's just man.
Next up would be telling.
Yeah, then there's no spider. It's just man. He would just wear he would just wear a regular outfit.
Telling instead of showing Mary Jane acting. They showed it in the second one, so again, like second one solved some of the issues I have with the first one, but we are still focusing on the first one. Next up would be plot convenience, bumping into the criminal. That was right after the fight. I'm like, bruh, how convenient! Like that like 10-second he spends on that place, he bumps into that other guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because no, I don't think it's
That's fair.
I don't think it is.
It's kind of his backstory, though.
I'll tell you
Even
why I
if
don't
it's
think it's fair.
backstory, it's
It's
so
about as
convenient.
fair as the fucking spider. You know?
Yeah, but here's why I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair because it's where his character arc really starts. Like that's where
Yeah.
he learns that
when he ignores it.
that he has powers. They come with a responsibility. It's basically to confirm what Ben said to him before. So the fact that he lets the guy go, and then he killed his uncle. That makes him realize that he has the responsibility with these powers to do something when he can. It's not a convenience. It's just
It's convenient.
Development.
I mean, it is convenient, but
I like the theme of responsibility, right? I like the idea of that being the cause of Uncle's Ben death, but again, I still think there's plot convenience, and to be honest,
So how do you do that without a plot convenience then? Because like that's what's supposed to teach him the lesson that he actually has to be, regardless of who it is that needs help, he has to do that. Otherwise, he bears the responsibility. So, how do you learn that lesson and have an incident with Uncle Ben
The idea is
that teaches him that without the plot convenience?
to be
he
honest,
cannot pick and choose. He needs to help everyone regardless of personal opinion.
to be honest, on that one, it's really our call. I would really need to think of that. I'm sure we can find a way around if we were a team of writers. But again, that's still plot convenience for me. Again, I like the message, and the message is fine. I just think they could have executed that aspect of story a bit better.
well, hold on. Let's just look at that one more time, though. So it's Peter goes and does the wrestling thing, right?
Yeah.
This
Then
is correct.
he
And he gets
comes-
in an arc. Go ahead.
he leaves the ring. He's done fighting, and then he wants to grab his cash. And as he's meeting with the guy that gives the cash, the guy
he
that
says-
gives the cash gives him shit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you will
Not my
just
problem,
yeah,
right?
yeah."
That's the
exactly.
scene we're talking about. And then so he
Yeah.
lets the guy who robs him go. And
Yeah.
then at the same time, Uncle Ben was coming to pick up Peter from the wrestling match, correct?
Yeah. Well, actually, he said library, so I can't remember if.
Yeah, well, it was.
told-
He lied about
Same location.
going to the wrestling match, but
Yeah.
they're near each other.
He's
Yeah.
going there to pick him up. It's not just like Uncle Ben's happened down the street and here comes this guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it seems pretty thought out, and I don't know.
Well, it's really the fact that Peter is the one that bumped into that criminal. Like, what if the criminal came inside like 2 seconds after Peter was there? Peter would never have connected the dot. Oh, that's the same guy. He would have never met the guy actually, and he would have no clue who killed Ben. So it's just a thread of like plot convenience for Peter to know who ended Ben's life.
No, it's character development. It's the way to start his narrative arc.
Again, that aspect I'm fine with the story. It's just like the way it's
Yeah, but
plot
it's like
convenience.
say it was like a love story we were gonna be watching, and it was like, the guy goes into the coffee shop to meet the girl who comes into
Same
the coffee
issue.
shop. It's the same thing. It's
but
just
they
like
have to meet.
Yeah, but what if he didn't want coffee? I mean,
Oh,
it's a convenience
yeah.
that he likes coffee.
Yeah, well,
so Multi wants like 15-minute long movies.
I
no,
guess.
no.
The first movie was Peter went on a field trip.
Okay, the best way to make
Peter's
people
field
meet
trip.
at a coffee shop is to make them part of their routine. That would be a way to fix that kind of thing.
But no,
that's
like
there's
kind of-
something called pacing. You have to move the story along because otherwise it's going to be too long. It's going to be repetitive and it's going to be boring as shit.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. I got a movie for you. You should see the Killers of the Flower Moon.
Hell yeah.
I do love
thought
that
it was a
movie,
good
though.
movie. I liked
It's
it.
great.
Really?
I won't
It's a
say
great
it's
movie.
great. I
That
won't
was
say it's
riddled with
great,
plot
but I liked it.
convenience.
Yeah, I still had issues with it. That's why.
But
I'm
it was
saying-
it was 3.5 hours long, so that's probably it. It took plenty of time to really
Yeah.
there was no convenience that was that obvious, I guess.
I think they were, but I can't remember what exactly because
All right, we're not there yet. We'll talk
All-
about
all
that
of
one another day.
Yeah,
we talked in
I'll
length.
keep that one. I'll keep that one in my back pocket.
All right,
Yeah,
Multi will let you finish.
Yeah,
keep
go ahead.
going.
What else do you think is terrible about Spider-Man?
plot convenience again, bumping into Uncle Ben. Like if
It's not a
if
convenience. He was going to
yes,
the spot where
it is.
No,
you-
Uncle Ben
no.
was going there to pick him up. That's not convenience.
Exactly. It's not a
Convenience to be
convenience.
like,
They
oh,
were-
there's Uncle Ben at the ice cream shop. Like he was purposely there
were-
to pick Peter up.
Yeah, so he had to go there to meet him to get picked up by his uncle. It was not a convenience. They agreed to meet there at the end of the day. How is that a convenience?
It's plot convenience anyhow. Next up, can't aim. I can't remember what I refer to, but when people cannot aim, that bothers me. Next
Yeah,
up, would be-
it's probably from the many times Spider-Man dodges the bullets, and yet for him it would
Yeah,
still be an
probably.
issue. Yeah,
most
probably.
likely.
Yeah, it's probably those scenes.
Lastly, plot convenience. Two criminals bumping into Mary Jane with Peter being around. It's like, okay, you chose like the right moment to attack MJ, and Peter just happens to be around. That's great.
Well, he's a superhero. He's supposed
Yeah.
to save people.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't save them. I'm just saying it's very convenient that he just happens to walk around the crime.
Sure. You know
Yeah,
what?
his
Sure,
sense
I'll
of
give you that
morality
one.
seems awfully convenient.
Yeah, but yeah, you know what? I'll give you that one. I will give you that one. You mean before like, the kiss on, the kiss on this like the upside down kiss? Before that, like when she's walking in the rain, and then these 5 dudes come to attack her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I always pause right before that happens. And then
Yeah.
I've never continued the movie past that point.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I will.
I don't know what happens
in
in the end.
Anyhow, these were my issues. I got plenty of them. Again, just in terms of entertainment and enjoyment, this movie is a 12 for me. But I still got.
So
some
wait,
issues.
you're not even going to bring up the fact that like everyone is like in their 30s and like their teacher looks younger than them when they're on the field trip. Like
Suspend
nothing like that.
disbelief,
Instead,
bro.
it's just plot convenience.
Suspend disbelief, bro.
Flash is like
you are
36.
You're discouraged. Oh, this is discouraging.
Suspend disbelief. They are the age they pretend to be.
There you'll suspend disbelief, but not that Spider-Man got bit by a spider and got powers.
Yeah, exactly.
Again,
Exactly.
it's not.
At 42 years old.
All right.
I
All
don't
right, let
have
me tell
an
you
issue
something
with.
though.
I don't have an
So-
issue with Peter getting powers. It's the fact that he just happens to bump into the right thing to give him his powers. That's
Yeah,
my
it's the
issue.
plot.
I'm fine with his powers again.
Well, if not, we're following the wrong guy in this movie.
Oh, wow.
All right, so
It was actually the
Okay, all right.
janitor from the
So
science
I'm
center.
gonna tell you something that I've been told many times in my screenwriting classes. If you make a movie, it should happen on the movie should be the most important part of your main character's life. That's why that happens. That's when he gets bit. That is important.
I'm
in
not
his
saying
life.
it's not. I'm just saying it's poorly placed. It's not well built up into.
But it is though. It is built up because they talk to
Make him work at the lab. I don't care. Find a way to make it.
He's 16-year-old at this point.
I don't care. Give him like I don't know field trip. Like
It was a
not
field trip.
Well, nothing. No, that's not what I meant. The field work.
Oh my
I
God.
can't remember what's the exact name. Like when you're at school, sometimes you get like a homework or something where you need to go at the same place many times. I don't know if it.
So all right. So listen, they do build it up because when they talk
They
to the tour guide, and she's like, "Oh, there's 15 spiders," and then I think it's MJ who says, "I counted 14," and she's like, "Oh, well, they must be working on the 15-1 somewhere, and then you see it, above the lab, and it, of course the spider is going to be there. It's the place where they study spiders. Like,
did you have
where's
this much of a problem with Across the Spider-Verse, where it like literally comes from a different universe to like
Yeah.
bite Miles Morales?
I can't remember, to be honest. Maybe.
I think that was Into the Spider-Verse.
Fair enough. They also covered in but fair enough.
Yeah,
to be
and
honest,
I think in
I
that
can't
one,
remember.
I think in that one, it's more of a
Yeah,
plot
too bad.
convenience than this one. But that's just me.
Yeah, it finds him in a fucking sewer.
Yeah, like that. And it's funny because when I first watched that film, I had an encounter with a spider, and I was like, even I was able to see it where Miles did not. Here, Peter probably didn't even hear that there was 14 spiders, and so I find it more believable. But that's just me.
To be honest, I would
and
need
again,
to
they're in the
rewatch
place where they
because I
study
can't remember.
spiders.
Yeah, again, if Peter was there every day, that would be better. But he just happens to be there that one day that spider broke loose.
Well, I mean,
That's my issue.
I mean, if you wanted,
if
like,
he's not
they
there,
set it up.
You want him to go to the Spider Science High School?
Yeah,
Like how many more?
it's fantasy anyway. That's sci-fi. We'll give it crap.
How
It's
many more
sci-fi.
trips? Like 2 more times, 3 more times there? Did he need to go on a weekly basis?
Like, at least make him walk there twice and like make a dialogue about him going there like many days, and I would be fine. with
but
it.
then that's explaining, not showing. That's telling, not showing.
I mean,
Well,
how
you
many
killed
how many
twice.
how many superheroes though get their powers besides something that's really convenient?
Yeah,
Can we think of any?
I mean, She-Hulk
Batman-
makes sense, but the rest of them are all.
Yeah, the rest of them are bullshit.
I mean, if you're talking about in the comics, then yeah, She-Hulk is more believable. I would actually even say Daredevil in the comics is more believable.
Yeah, Ninja Turtle ooze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just go off movies though, because in that world, I mean, I think it's always going to be something. They have to show it easily to the audience for the first time.
Oh, well. I mean, in movies and TV shows, I really can't think of any. That's like a normal convenience. No, normally people would have probably said Barry Allen because he's struck by lightning. But I mean, I don't think people get struck by lightning that often. I would have
seems awfully convenient.
Well, in the Flash, it was shown that they all calculated that, so it was part of a bigger scheme. So that's a bit different.
Yeah,
but not the first time. Not the first time though. The first time.
The first time. Then yeah, it's a plot convenience, of course. But the other.
Okay, what about Star-Lord? Like, so Ego's his father, and he chooses a woman, but he's like half god. That convenience that it was that particular woman chosen?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
that's
plot
convenience. What about Batman's? I think Tiamat said this in the comments before. What about Batman's parents?
That's
coming out.
Freaking plot convenience.
So everything.
You're talking like in real life. There's never like happenstance or random chance. Shit like that happens all the time. Like people get shot.
I think you're just talking about plot.
Plot convenience.
Without
conveniently, I think it is plot.
Guys,
I mean,
can't have plot convenience without plot.
That's how I critique stuff. Plot convenience is plot convenience.
It's like I hate the part in the movie that was the movie. Too convenient.
Yeah, too convenient.
You know what? It's too convenient that there's a movie about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it's too convenient.
Should have been assumed, and
pretty convenient that camera was pointed this direction.
Yeah,
hell yeah, got it right.
We should have seen the whole movie from like a janitor's perspective, and
yes, exactly.
And that was it. Like just him emptying the buckets and shit.
Yeah,
like that Spider-Man movie was great.
Hell yeah. Anyhow, I like that movie again. I still think it has issues, but I like that movie. The music, uh, Willem Dafoe in Green Goblin was amazing. Tobey Maguire, I will be honest, it doesn't feel as much Spider-Man as the other actors that played the role. Um, and I will say something that Dream may like. He feels old. Let's be honest. He feels old.
Well, it is old.
Uh,
It was made in 2002, but that's
yeah,
not the movie's fault. That's just how time works.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's how time works.
Stills, I
Sounds
still
convenient to
enjoyed
me.
his portrayal, but um, yeah, it was a movie I enjoyed. The action was great. The character growth was also good in the end when Peter was like, "Oh yeah, I realized I like you, but I cannot really have you because if I have you, then you're in danger." In that scene where he got to choose between MJ and the kids, that was a great scene. And I think that's the biggest reason why in the end he's like, oh yeah, I will stay away. That's something I enjoyed. Um, that's well written, that part. Outside of that, Aunt May just feels like um a loving grandma, and this is entertaining to watch again. Jemison is fire, but it gets
He's
better.
perfect.
Yeah, it gets better with the second one.
He's a
Um,
cartoon character come to life. Casting J.K. Simmons in that part was a stroke of genius.
yeah, and the friendship between Ari and Peter,
Peter.
it feels a bit off, but in a good way where they are similar and different in the same time where Peter is more of a brain guy and Ari is more of a guy that has all of the girls, if you know what I mean.
So a
um
Chug versus the nerd, basically.
yeah, and it feels organic because they have chemistry on screen despite being so different. um Again, I think everyone was well casted. Even like Tubby, even if I'm not the biggest Tubby fan, I still think he did his job right. Um,
Yeah, Toby. I think Toby works really well in these movies.
yeah, and now this is what I got to say. So I think it's the right time to give our score, except if someone would like to share more on that topic. I
The
I
only thing
I
that nobody mentioned is the score in this is awesome. It's a Danny Elfman
Yes,
score.
I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah,
It's amazing.
I said music. I like the music.
Fair
That was
enough.
the
yeah,
There was
yeah.
like some Strokes music in there and stuff too, but the score was awesome.
oh yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And Ben's speech was also amazing, but that's a classic that like every Spider-Man movie wants to emulate in some ways.
Oh yeah,
I don't
it's
know,
so well written.
he was my
so well
least
told.
he was my least favorite iteration of a Ben. Is he the only one? Because I hated him.
Which
I just
hated
don't
one?
like that
May,
actor.
but
He skeeves
Ben
me
was
out.
okay to me. Really? Cliff Roberts was
Yeah.
cool. I remember
I
that
think he's a
guy.
great actor.
That's kind of what I think too for my Uncle Ben. But it's either that or the rice.
Yeah.
So
I don't trust
yeah,
that guy.
I mean, there
so
was another one. The other one is Martin Sheen. So you like Martin Sheen better as Ben?
Yeah, I do. Actually, you know what? You're right. I do. Who was Aunt May in that one?
It was.
Was it
no,
Sally Field?
Yeah, it was Sally Field. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
like
was,
those
wasn't it?
two. I mean, Marissa Tomei, but
Yeah, but she's not really Aunt May either.
no,
so
she could be my Aunt May.
Cole's score was 8.5 out of 10. What about a UDC?
10 out of 10.
Okay.
Wow.
When it comes to me, again, entertainment and enjoyment, I would give it like 11 out of 10. But because of my issues, I will sound harsh and rough and savage. This is a 6.5 out of 10 for me. And for me,
I
this
do
is
not understand your scores at all.
this
No,
is
me neither.
decent. So Every issue
So
takes
Scores of
away
convenience.
0.5.
I'll tell you this though.
that score does seem kind of convenient.
Every issue takes away 0.5. So
that's
that's why it's that low.
Well, I have something though. Even though a lot of people seem to think you have like horrible movie takes, I think it's kind of cool because it allows us to have a little bit of a debate and discuss, and I think that's fun. So thank you for your terrible movie takes.
It's very fun.
It is very fun.
Terrible movie takes. That's my name now.
Yeah. Thank you for your garbage opinions.
Wow.
You know, it's funny that I think I have more terrible opinions because I mean I actually like Batman and Robin.
I like it too.
The one with the
I like
nipples.
it, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't say it's a good
yeah,
film.
same.
Yeah, the bat nipples.
That's how I feel
I
about
like it too.
She-Hulk.
I also
like it
like
too.
Superman
The
4.
bat skates.
I
yeah.
also like Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Me
I don't
too.
think I can follow you there.
No,
Yeah.
me too.
Well,
That's the
it's got elements of it that are okay.
that's the one with the guy in the gold, right?
Yeah, Nuclear
Yeah,
Man.
it's a nuclear man. Yeah,
Holy shit! Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
and
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 Superman
I-
creating world peace by just throwing all of the nuclear weapons into space.
Into space. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Makes sense.
yeah,
That wouldn't fuck anything up.
It was like the One Ring. It was controlling everyone and
But you
making
know,
them.
I'll say
Hostile.
this: I think it's too convenient that Superman is an alien. You know, it's too convenient.
It is too
Hell
convenient.
yeah.
It's pretty convenient. Like, why did he choose Earth?
And
out of
like,
all the
and when he
planets
got to
between here and
Earth,
Krypton?
why does our sun give him like any kind of power? Why doesn't it just make him?
Yeah, why a
yeah.
yellow sun?
Why doesn't it give him like I don't know autism? Like wait, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Like why could it be
Anyhow.
anything? It could give him a third.
All right,
Give him a third arm.
I think we'll. All right, we'll
Alex.
stop picking on you.
So,
We'll stop
I-
picking
Yeah.
on you. Man.
Alex, what would be your grade out of 10?
For me, it's an 8 out of 10. As I said, I do, even though I absolutely love it, I do think that I have a little trouble taking the story seriously because of the cheese. Because of the cheese that's coming out of my TV when I watch it, and because also I do think like it's a bit too rushed in parts, but overall I think it's a very, very good movie and I loved my rewatch. So 8 out of 10.
What about you, A-Base? Do you remember well enough the movie to remember what kind of score you would give it, or not really because it's been a long time?
No, I could give it a score. I guess I would give it like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10, just based on the fact that like when it came out, I would have probably given it a 10 or more, and and maybe now with being a little jaded from film, it knocks it down to about an 8. But it's still a great movie. I mean, I always judge movies if I like walked into a room and sat down and it was on. If I don't pick up my remote to change the channel, and it's 20 years old, it's still a good fucking movie.
I honestly don't think I could have said it better, and I think I would have gone with either a 7.5 or 8 as well. So, what Patrick said, ditto, and whole not changing the channel thing as well. That's a great test of any flick. Especially if you've seen it multiple times.
Agreed.
This is well said. Nostalgia wins, I guess. DC, what do you have going on your part of the internet?
well, I've been uploading a lot of music, main theme songs for my show, which yes does feature Spider-Man, and I plan to upload probably for like as long as like as much as I can, as much as I can. I'll try to upload, but yeah, I have that, and I have other things planned as well, but yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for
Yeah.
joining us this week, and I'm excited to have you on again next week because we will cover Spider-Man 2 if you're still available next
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, have a great day. Take care, and we will talk later.
All right, bye.
Perfect. So now, Fast and Furious 9. The masterpiece.
Wait, is it Fast 9 first,
Uh,
or is it?
we should do
Are
Hobbs
we
and
going in
Shaw.
chronological order?
Yeah,
Uh,
are you guys
Hobbs
going
and
to do
Shaw
Hobbs and
first.
Shaw? Because I mean, I came dressed up for the part here.
Yeah, It's very sporting. I like your
actually,
turtleneck.
You know
Patrick,
what?
could you actually
Shaw.
could you
Okay,
do a British accent, Patrick? Because your voice sounds a little bit like Jason Statham's.
It doesn't. I don't think I can. I mean, maybe I'll have to get back to you on it. I'll work on my best Jason Statham for next time.
Okay,
Great.
so we start with Hobbs and Shaw, and I will let whoever wants to go first on that one go first. I will be right back.
All right, I'll start. I guess if you two don't mind.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
No, go right ahead, sir.
So, Hobbs and Shaw. The first thing that surprised me about this is that it's directed by David Leitch, who directed the first John Wick, who directed Deadpool 2, and Bullet Train. I'm like, okay, this guy usually knows how to direct an action movie. So I was kind of hopeful at the beginning, and the more the movie went on, the more my hopes crumbled into dust. Because this movie is terrible. Well, at least I thought it was so bad. There's some ideas that I like. Like the the montage at the beginning, of Dwayne Johnson and James Tatum like waking up and basically like doing the same thing. Having their lives together in their little spot of the world and everything. I do think that that's a fun way to open the movie, even if the way it's edited is a bit slow. It's a bit rhythm killing for me.
You found this slow editing? Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's the way it's cut together. I feel like it missed something was missing. There was a little bit of a rhythm that was missing there, for me. And I'll say this: the dialogue in the whole movie. Maybe that's just me, but I found all of the dialogue to be unbearable. Like absolutely unbearable. None of the jokes landed for me, and when Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham bicker, it doesn't feel like two people who hate each other. It just feels like toddlers bickering on somewhere on the school grounds. They just bicker all the time, and it's not fun banter. Because I don't think it's very well written. I don't think it's very well acted either.
I kind of feel what you're saying. It definitely was something that was slapped. It was slapped together. It was like, I mean, it was a crazy fucking movie, but you can't say it wasn't like an enjoyable movie for what it was. If you're gonna hold it up to, you got to hold it up to like, you can't hold it up to a movie on its own standard. It was like a Fast and the Furious movie, so it's like, but it's like a Doctor Who's Christmas special.
Yeah, but here's the thing: this is not a Fast and Furious movie. It tries to be a spy movie with some.
It's Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. So I'm just saying, it is a Fast and Furious movie.
It is.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like one. To me, it didn't feel like one in the way it's directed, and I think that's because David Leitch's directing style doesn't really fit that franchise. The way he usually directs action scenes is very, very precise. It's like it is down to a T what the camera movements will be, what the stunts will be, because he was a stuntman before he was the director. And I feel like in this one, he didn't really get to work as much with the stunt people as he should have. And also, I guess it's really difficult to find a stunt guy for Dwayne Johnson.
I'm not busy.
But yeah, I don't think his directing style works for this movie. I don't think it's really compatible. What else did I have? Why are Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart there?
Yeah,
because they're awesome. You
I
got to throw them into the franchise at some point. Why not here in a spinoff?
That dialogue scene in the plane.
Because star power.
Long. It was so long. Power. It was so boring. I was mad. I almost gave up on watching this movie. I almost did. Like I was 1 hour in, and I stopped it, and I went to sleep. And the next morning, I picked it up again, but I almost didn't. But then that's a me problem, right? The fact that I think that Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart are annoying. That's a me problem. It's not necessarily
that is a you problem.
It is a me problem.
They are both charming, sir.
Yeah.
I don't like him, but that's me. I don't like Deadpool, so
You can keep the Canadian one, but
Oh, you don't
The-
like Deadpool? Oh, spicy.
we'll get there
Deadpool,
another
why to
time.
cover
We're not
Deadpool?
there yet.
wait for part 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this was a really fun movie, all in all, but it was definitely ridiculous, top to bottom. And I can't really speak to like the filmmaking of it all. I'm not that guy, but like halfway through, I was like, "What the fuck is this? Transformers? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, people are there? Like, is it cyborgs? Like, there's fucking like I didn't know what was going on, but it was sure as shit entertaining. It was no different than watching a Fast and Furious movie, except there was just like the I guess you would say like the continuity of what happens in Hobbs and Shaw. I don't think necessarily happens in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
And then those two people are supposed to fucking despise each other too. Isn't that the issue, Hobbs
Yeah,
and
they-
Shaw?
I mean, they kind
Yeah,
of still
they're
do.
supposed
You know,
to.
frenemies.
But like they killed each other's friends and family members. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or am I remembering?
Yeah,
I mean,
wrong?
it was
yeah,
a different
exactly.
film, but yeah.
They're supposed to hate each other, but yet they bicker like they're like like they're an old couple. It's not the same thing as hey, you murdered my brother. It's
Yeah,
not
right.
the
He
same
so
thing.
Well,
that's
I mean,
that's
he's
right.
only so murdered.
The Rock kills his brother, correct? In a
Yeah.
I
different
mean,
movie.
yeah, from what I
He
remember.
comes back, but yeah.
Yeah,
Essentially.
maybe that's why. Maybe it's because Shaw read the script for the other movies, so he knew his
Oh,
brother wasn't really
yeah.
dead. Maybe that's why.
So yeah, that's
Um,
weird that they get along so well. But
Yeah.
the scenes are fun. Like when it's ridiculous that they're fist fighting and beating the shit out of each other in that like what is it, an interrogation room? Am I remembering
Yeah.
that part right? Like
Yeah, it is.
it's the whole setup for it is ridiculous, but it's cool when it's happening. Like it's fun.
It's
You know,
flashy
the whole-
stuff. It's flashy stuff.
It is flat. It's a popcorn movie. The whole thing.
Hell
it-
yeah.
It's a
Here's
spectacle.
the thing, right?
It's
You'll-
Transformers.
So you say you're not the filmmaking type guy. You can judge the filmmaking. I am. I'm a filmmaker and a film teacher, so maybe that's where that's coming from.
Oh,
Yeah. So, yeah, but so yeah, I'm gonna be a killjoy for this one. But yeah, the way it's directed, in general, for me, like there's a lot of things that don't work, especially in the editing. Like the editing is very sloppy in a lot of places. Like the cuts don't make sense in relation to each other for most of the time, which makes the action very annoying and hard to follow from scene to scene. And even the way some of this is written, like you talk about plot convenience a lot, Multi, and in this one, I'm gonna have to nitpick a little bit because there's so much stuff that it's not nitpicks anymore. For me, it's just like actual problems in the writing and directing.
What do you mean? There's no plot conveniences in this one. Like the fact
The
that the only
story is
person who
better
can
than
fix this one
Spider-Man.
machine that is the only machine that can cure her just happens to be the dude's brother.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah,
so,
like it's far fetched, but come on, it's fine.
makes
No,
it makes
it's not,
total
it's not
sense.
even that. Like, so just the climax, right? When Dwayne Johnson and Samoan family fights the military guys while they're shirtless.
Oh man,
I
forgot
don't have a
about that.
problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that setup because I think that's extremely fun. But it's the temporality of it all. Like the fight starts at night, and then it's day, and then it's night again. Like how long was that damn fight? It's like over like
all night long.
36
24
hours.
hours.
It's set up that it's going to be 6 minutes because that's how long they can turn the guns off. So
yeah, exactly. But
it was a long 6 minutes, but
yeah,
they
and
fought
what?
hard.
If you want to, nitpick a little bit more, when they go visit Ellen Mirren in prison, Shaw's mother, she's in prison and she is wearing designer clothes with full-on makeup, a belt, everything. It's dumb, but I don't think they can have that in prison. If you ask me.
Yeah, but I think that was supposed to be showing that she's like an influential badass,
yeah,
right?
maybe
Because she says I can get up and walk out of here at any time, right? That's her
that's
whole
true.
thing.
That is true.
Yeah.
So she
is
can
true.
kind of own that. So I'll push back
But
on
still,
you there.
But still, she has designer clothes, and on the back is the logo of the prison, the name of the prison. So, like, is this just a standard uniform? of the prison.
It's a very posh prison.
Yeah. She got the upgraded shit.
No, yeah, maybe. I want to talk a bit about Idris Elba as the villain. So I love Idris Elba in general, and I'm happy to see him. And my God, is he boring in this? He has, he's got the one tone voice where he delivers all of his lines exactly the same way. Yeah, and they do something that does annoy me in writing, which makes sense in an overall script, but is annoying. When you think about it. So they show him as this invincible guy who can, who's basically, as he says himself, Black Superman.
That's
and can,
he said Black Superman.
Yeah.
He specified.
Yeah. So he can, fight everyone and beat them up easily. But at the end, he gets beaten like this when the plot demands it, and that is actual plot convenience, sir.
But they're working together.
Stop lying, guys.
computer
That's a
can't-
masterpiece. It's better than Spider-Man.
His computer can't handle two attackers at the same time. It can only map out one.
No, but it can, because we see him fighting up multiple people at once before.
No, he was going through a Windows update, so
No, that's it. That's good.
he had,
And
he
speaking
had a
of-
little lag.
So the little computer that he has in his eyes, right, and we see shots through it. It's very fast, but you see like the strength at which the punch is coming and the velocity and the angle. It's cool to have that information, but how the hell does it help you in combat to know the exact strength of which you'll receive a punch?
Well, up until that point, he knew how hard he had to duck or dodge. But
You know how much the punch would hurt.
I don't know. I feel like all that information displayed in front of your eyes permanently would be more distracting in a fight than helpful.
No, it's like jujitsu.
Well, that's why you got to upgrade the processor too.
Jujitsu,
Right, exactly.
jujitsu, right? That's like using somebody's weight and power against them. So, I mean, that could you could argue that.
Yeah, and in terms of pure filmmaking, there's some things that David Leitch does that I do like. I like the photography. The way the light in the movie is very good. It's very well lit and well shot. And there's all the night scenes of neon in them, which is very much in his style, and I appreciate that. But there is a problem I have with the directing, right? So they're all, again, Hobbs and Shaw are supposed to be mortal enemies, right? They kill each other's family members. They can't stand each other. But the way it's directed, it always when it cuts between them, it always shows them being in complete sync in the action and the movement and everything. And if you want to portray people as enemies, people who hate each other, I don't think that's the way to do it, because then the way it's perceived, like, oh, they have been fighting together for a long time. They are partners. They've been partners for a long time because they fight exactly the same way. But that's not what you want to portray, and that's a problem in the filmmaking and in the editing itself. But yeah, so that's a problem that I have, and I do notice these things. And also, I want to say shout out to Vanessa Kirby, who plays Shaw's sister.
Hattie, whatever her
Hattie.
name is. Something.
I think for me, she was the best part of this movie. She looks like she's the only one who's having fun and is happy to be on that set. Well, everyone around her is phoning it in.
I think The Rock is happy to be The Rock.
Well, yeah, of course, because he's The Rock. But yeah,
he's always like that, The Rock.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, I think it is a poor action film. I think it is very, very boring.
It's a masterpiece. Stop bashing it.
Hey, and as long as you're talking about people that looked happy to be there, Ryan Reynolds looked like just over the moon to be there.
True, but that was probably
He always
because
looks happy.
of the check. That was because of the check that he received to be in 5 minutes of the movie.
Probably.
He's like
He was very
Mis-
happy to get that check.
he's like Mr. Ed. They probably just they stick a carrot up his ass and he smiles because he knows he's getting paid. Blake Lively's back there with a carrot, like, go ahead,
Yeah.
Ryan, smile.
Yeah. But yeah, also, and I think it's a poor action film. I think it is very much not funny for me. At least for me the humor did not work at all. I never laughed once. And I think it does a piss poor job at showing that these characters are enemies, which is the whole premise of this fucking movie is that they're supposed to be enemies who work with each other.
They established it. Like they looked at each other and they're both like, "I'm not working with him," so that should prove it.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they're kind of relying on the previous films to set that up, but fair enough.
Yeah, but that's not how a movie is supposed to work. It's supposed to work well within itself, even if it's part of a franchise. But yeah, so that's me. I really don't like this movie. It was painful and hard to watch and to finish. And with that said, I will let anyone else who wants to speak.
Wow. Yeah. So I had a completely different experience than you with this film. So I had just watched the musical The Color Purple, and I was not having a good day. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I can knock one of these out. Let me go here. I'll just put on Hobbs and Shaw. And I had a delightful experience. It was utterly fantastical, if you will. So yeah, I am not the biggest fan of the series. It is not for me. I think when you talk about poor dialogue, like this series comes to mind. Like if you think about the original one, the inciting incident is Paul Walker keeps going for these horrible tuna sandwiches at this sandwich shop that the family apparently owns that is never referenced again after he leaves that sandwich shop. But the dialogue has always been really shitty. This one, I didn't hate the dialogue. Like it seemed to be how, they seem to really understand the Shaw and Hobbs characters. And I like the introduction of a couple of these other characters. But yeah, it's just kind of I'm not a big fan of this series, and I like what it became, but I didn't like where it was from. I could care less about street racing. I could really care less about cars. And I think that's kind of what this one did. They're like, okay, well, why don't we just have an action movie, not include all the car porn? Yeah, there's a couple of fancy cars in the beginning. Jason Statham has like a really nice car, and then there's a couple others. They drive one through a building, and I'm trying to think. I think there's like a third fancy car somewhere
By
in
the
it,
end.
but that's about
By
it.
the end.
Yeah, that's right. But it's not all focused on that, where it feels like that's all the other ones are. It's like, okay, crappy heist. We got to get the crew together. Everyone has their own fancy car. Okay, slow shots of the cars. Cool. I don't feel like this did that. It was just more about this very contrived mission that this MI6 agent, the only way that she can get that virus, instead of just taking the whole case and like getting out of there, she has to slam her hand down on it and then put the virus in herself somehow. From the beginning, like it does seem somewhat contrived, but I really like it. I found the juxtaposition between the Rock's day and Jason Statham's day. I liked it a lot. I liked the way they were cutting through it. I thought, the actual cuts that they used and like the footage, I thought it was decent. I knew what they were trying to do. And then that it's going to head to this, I'm not working with him. You see both handlers like trying to get them. They kind of give you more of the backstory through the handlers saying like, do you think this is going to work? I don't think these guys are going to do it. So I don't know, built with the previous films and this, I feel like you get enough that these guys aren't going to dig each other, and then they both say no, but they're kind of forced into it when it's revealed, kind of the twist. I did not see it coming, even though I should have, and apparently I'm an idiot for not seeing it, that she was going to be the sister that was referenced before. So I thought that was kind of fun, and then that locks in Deckard. He has to go save his sister, and then The Rock is somehow locked into this now because he was interrogating her. I don't know. But I don't know. There's some real parts that seem like plot contrivances, like again the whole disease, the fact that there's like one doctor that can save it, but that equipment gets wrecked. But they can still somehow save this equipment if they go to The Rock's brother, who works on cars and used to steal stuff. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me, but okay, I'm in on the journey. I'm here for the long haul, so to speak. I really liked the characters that they introduced. I liked Kevin Hart being Kevin Hart. I don't know. I thought he was annoying in the best possible way. And then I thought, if you show like a gun or a tool, so to speak, saying that he works for the NSA, he can get them anywhere. Or he's an air marshal, excuse me. He could get them anywhere. It's awesome that they kind of pay that off a little bit. And then I loved Ryan Reynolds and the final scene as well. Somehow I didn't expect that, but yeah, it was kind of fun to see him come back. But I don't know. I admit this is jingly keys of movies. It is shiny. There's explosions. Look at this. Generally, that doesn't get me. I'm generally not the biggest action fan, but I gotta say, I really like this. It was thoroughly delightful, and maybe I was just in the right mind state and in state of inebriation or whatever. But it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I usually do not like the Fast and Furious films. My experience with Hobbs and Shaw is so much different than my experience with F9. I would take this hands down. Like, I'm ready to watch it again right now. And I think I only watched it a few days ago. I do not have the desire to watch any of the Fast and Furious movies again. So, I don't know. I had a little bit of a different experience.
That's interesting. I like your take. You are brave, my friend, to share such a hot take. Maybe that's your first bad take on the panel.
I don't know if it's a bad take.
I'm not sure.
He's allowed to enjoy the movie. It's fine.
Oh, and I'm not saying it's like the cinematic like masterpiece. Like again, the plot doesn't make sense, but I enjoyed it, and I really don't generally enjoy the other one. So I don't know. I guess this is the one made for me.
Yeah, you got a question, Alex. Go for it.
So in this movie, they have this world-ending virus that will melt your insides and is extremely contagious. And, usually,
and it was supposed to be released in 2019.
Yes, but no, that's not the thing. The thing is, usually when there's a threat of that level, they call in for everyone. Dom and the whole family.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
And why wouldn't they in this one either? Why is it only these two fuckers who can't stand each other? Why don't you have the guys?
Where's Mr. Nobody?
It's top secret.
Why don't you have the guys who work well with each other? Like, you need to save the world. If they fail, the world dies. And they're like, hey, I know that these two fucking despise each other and cannot work with one another for a second. Let's force them to, save the world together.
That's smart.
Well, they thought it would be a smaller threat than it was. Sorry, the other part that I forgot to mention is I did actually enjoy Idris Elba's portrayal of a enhanced human, if you will. I like this portrayal of transhumanism. He is the next level, and I kind of dug that. And I dug how essentially, they don't defeat him. Like, his programming probably would have rebooted, but it's actually the true villain that takes out Idris Elba in the end.
Racism?
I don't know. Yes, the true villain.
Yo, how could you guys not have mentioned Idris Elba's fucking magical Michael Knight style motorcycle at this point?
It was pretty cool, man.
Shit,
I got to admit, I like it. I kind of want one of those bikes that'll like just spin all the way around.
Yeah.
It might kill you, but it won't
It
crash.
like came on its own, like a dog. Honestly, I was sold with this movie almost immediately because I knew it's a turn your brain off movie, and I'm with you, Gray. I don't really like. I'm not big on the whole car racing. I didn't give a shit about the Cuban Mile, but like I like science fiction shit, and they were like, hey, maybe we can get a little science fiction going here. Let's do like RoboCop / I don't know, Westworld maybe was in there, Blade, like who the fuck, they threw everything at this thing, and I appreciated it. And it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous, and I enjoyed every second of it. And I think I'm going to watch it again this weekend.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
This I agree. It's a terrible movie, but that's entertaining. I gotta admit it. I will give that to Gray. That was a very entertaining movie. That's the perfect definition for a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's a trash movie that's enjoyable to watch, I guess. So before I go on my thoughts, do you want to add more to this, Patrick?
No, yeah, just that it is in fact a stupid movie. It is ridiculous that these two get along and have like a friendship, and that there's even some kind of like romance between the sister and it's just fucking ridiculous. But somehow it just works for the movie. Like had they just completely separated this from Fast and the Furious, I think it wouldn't have been as judged. Like if it was,
Yeah,
if they, called it like, I don't know, Billy and Tommy,
it
take
would be
on whatever.
different. We would never have covered that.
Next
uh,
up, we're gonna have Hobbs and Shaw and Kevin Hart and Ryan Reynolds. That's gonna be the title.
I mean, it's a
so
well cast movie. It's really funny. All the action. What else? What else do you need?
yeah, you're
I
right.
need a good movie. That's what I need.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
well,
not going to get
fucking
that from this franchise. But as far as
yeah.
this franchise goes,
I think it's the worst one of the franchise, but that's me again. That's just me.
you see, for
There
me,
are
that's
worse.
Tokyo Drift. But to each their own.
Yeah, I think there are worse. Like this franchise has so many good examples of bad movies. So I will read out Cole's thought on Hobbs and Shaw. Some of the actors were kind of fun to watch since they got some decent names as Kirby, Elba, and Statham. But it's awful. This is boring and has no point. This I disagree. It wasn't boring. It was bad, but it wasn't
No, it
boring.
was boring. He's right.
I know the entire Fast
There
and
was no
Furious
time to
series.
be bored. It was so fast and
I
furious. It was
agree.
great.
I agree. I agree. I agree with you, Dre. It's considered pointless. I know the entire Fast and Furious series is considered pointless, but they at least attempted to move the plot around or do things in the others, unlike Fast 8, which is I forgave a bit since it wasn't made. And Hobbs and Shaw, it's fitting they brought in Roman's reign to complete the holy trinity of talentless F with big egos in him. Dwayne Johnson, John Cena for this franchise. The helicopter scene made me laugh hard. Me too. I'm with you, Cole. So now these are my issues. It's Evan of the issue. First issue. Um, again, Shaw broke glass like it's not cutting his skin. Because of gravity, Shaw should fall with the other guy when they were hanging by the window. It doesn't make sense that the 9 years old asked a question instead of rock. Not funny, not funny, not funny. Can't aim. Ob did jump many floors and then he crashed into a car, yet he didn't get injured. Yeah, sure, it makes sense. The villain was shown to bend steel, yet Ob survived a hit from said villain. Makes sense, right? Cannot aim. Shaw not dying from a punch on the head by super strength didn't make any sense. Blonde girl flipping a guy twice her weight didn't make any sense. Not funny, not funny, not funny. Can't aim, not funny.
What does not funny mean? Like, I
Yeah.
It means that
understand, like, it's not, but can you, like, give an example of not funny?
What I
yeah,
mentioned
because
not
you
funny,
keep saying that, and
they
like I
Yeah,
I
'cause
get
we
how
don't,
you write your notes, but it needs to be related to something. What is
because
not
we don't,
funny?
yeah, because we don't know
what's
what the fuck you mean.
not funny means not
No,
funny.
we know what not funny means, but we don't know what you're talking about.
So there are
It's
like
like
many.
not
art was not
funny.
funny.
So each not funny is a punchline or something that's tried really hard to be funny. It
Right, but what
wasn't.
was that punchline?
Yeah,
There are too
you
many.
need to specify.
Give us
I
an example if you're gonna shit on
I
it and
can't,
not say that it was the greatest movie ever made.
I
You gotta
can't
give me
remember.
one. Give me one.
I can't remember. I watch the movie. I take notes, and then I try to forget this movie existed. That's what happens in my mind. I watch it. I take notes. I read the notes. I forget it existed.
You know what can help? All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of an advice here on film criticism. And this is what I do. I just watch the movie. I don't have any notepad or anything near me. and I just think about the movie overall once it's done, and then the review and the opinion kind of comes together, and that way it's not you just listing a bunch of issues back to back. You could have something structured, which is there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, that affects directly my grade in the end because each issue takes away 0.5. So if I start to list every single detailed punchline, I think I would never end into making notes. It's just a way to have it short. Um, Next up would be I'm lost now. Okay, cannot aim again. So there's
You were
another.
three not funnies back.
Oh yeah. People cannot aim again. People cannot aim again. Not funny again. Stuff blew up on Ob car, yet no injuries. Plot armor on both leads. Not funny telling instead of showing the father's backstory. How convenient that every single enemy gun is easy to shut down through technology. It doesn't make sense that Ob can pull a chain linked to a helicopter. Plot armor on Ob falling in a ravine, not getting injured enough. Not funny. The guy having plot armor since they tanked many super strength hits. Plot armor on the main villain, taking several hits by
Actually, for that was not plot armor; it was an actual armor.
That's armor.
He was enhanced.
There was a metallic stick, bro. They were slashing him with a metallic stick.
I forgot to mention my one issue with this. I'll need to talk about it after.
Plot armor on the sister since electricity and rain didn't end her life. I mean, rain, electricity, water, electricity. But sure. Let's suspend disbelief. Sure. Anyhow, these are my issues. Again, this is a guilty pleasure where it's enjoyable and entertaining to watch, but it's not a good movie at all. It's actually godly awful. But Idris Elba was entertaining. The cast was fun. Every actor involved did their job. But again, the writing sucks. And the music was fine. The action was fine again. So yeah, I don't have much more to say, to be honest. So I will let Gray talk.
I totally forgot about the one part that I have an issue with, and that is the only part that's unbelievable in this entire movie. And that's that they do the daisy chain of 4 different tow trucks that, have to keep the car from going up. I forgot about that till Multi brought that up. And then, to tie it back into the Fast and Furious franchise, what do you do to a tow truck? You obviously put some NOS in it. So, that's the only way that they could prevent that from disaster, happening to The Rock. So that was perfect. But that really should not have been in the movie. But other than that, everything was perfect.
But I do have some things that I want to say also. I think the action scene where Dwayne Johnson jumps from the building and jumps from dude to dude until he gets down. I do think this is the one halfway decent action scene in the movie. The one for me. And during that final car chase with all the trucks, I really appreciate when they cut to the Chevrolet logo with nothing else in the frame except for the logo. That was peak product placement right there.
The way to do it.
Exactly.
So, okay, I guess we can give our grades, except if someone wants to add more to this wonderful movie.
I just a thought I always have with the Hobbs and Shaw movie. I always wonder why watching it, if it was are these just leftover ideas from brainstorming sessions from Fast and Furious?
Yeah, they just throw them all in a fish bucket. You just
somebody
you,
was
you pair a couple.
Like right around
What?
Fast and
Probably,
Furious 5, somebody was like furiously fighting for like cyborg motorcycle
Mhm.
twisty, and they're like, no, we're not putting it in the fucking movie. And they're like, put it in the Hobbs and Shaw pile. And like that's where all the idea like they're like, what if
Yeah.
there's a deadly virus? Hobbs and Shaw pile. We're not putting this in part 7. That's where we got Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's how how this thing was written. Yeah, that
You
makes
know?
perfect sense, actually.
Yeah.
Just leftover ideas from the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, just shit they didn't get to do. They're like, we can put it in the Hobbs and Shaw pile.
Yeah.
And then after like 10 years, they just, they wrote it. They were like, put these stories together. And there you go. Get Idris Elba, who's hot right now. Get the short black guy, get Ryan Reynolds. Boom. We got a movie. We got a hit.
We are, Cole. I wish you were here to go ahead and make the majority against us. But right now, me and
Okay.
Patrick are taking over, and we're saying
I would need
it's decent.
I would need some backup, indeed, on that one.
I still thought that's a bad movie again. I'm with you, Alex. It's a bad movie,
Thank
but
you.
I was entertained.
So that makes it a good movie.
No.
No.
Again,
'Cause in terms of pure filmmaking, it's very much a failure.
It's not a good movie.
it's
an
a guilty
enjoy.
pleasure.
It's
a
an
guilty pleasure.
enjoyable movie. Why does it have to be guilty? You can know it's stupid and still we don't have to
Yeah.
knock it. They knew it was stupid when they made
Yeah,
it.
I don't like the concept of a guilty pleasure. If you like something, you like something. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, like I like Eskimo midget wrestling. And
That's perfect.
No judgment.
Yeah,
And
So,
there's plenty of movies that are considered bad that I like a lot. So
Yeah, for multi, it's The Godfather Part 3.
hell
But,
yeah.
sure.
Well,
I
I still thought that was a good movie, but yeah.
it's not.
Can I say something about this?
Yeah.
I assume that you all talked about how bad Sofia Coppola is in the film.
I can't remember.
Multi liked her acting.
I can't remember.
At the premiere of the movie, Al Pacino went to her and said, "By the way, if you ever get the urge to act again, just lay down and wait for it to pass."
wow.
That's savage.
Wait for it to pass.
Yeah, he said that to her at the premiere of the film, and I think it is fucking funny.
You're done in this town.
Anyhow.
Well, sorry, it is a tangent, but apparently she wasn't supposed to play it. She was like a last-minute fill-in just because she did a table read. So that sucks for her.
Yeah,
but
it was.
she's kind
I
of
think it
known
was
for that.
supposed to be.
I think it was Winona Ryder
Yeah,
at
it
one
was
point.
Winona Ryder. Yeah, it was supposed to be Winona Ryder, but she went on to do a movie with Tim Burton instead.
I mean, I feel like she's probably
Yeah.
not losing sleep over it.
Probably not.
No, because now she's
Anyhow.
making Oscar-nominated films.
Yeah. Cole grade out of 10 would be a 2.5 out of 10. So
A
Cole
bit
is
harsh.
with Alex.
Yeah, for me
wait.
that's a 3 out of 10.
Oh, that's
Oh.
generous.
Ooh,
So
yours is below that? Really?
It's crazy.
So after taking off points for every issues I had, the movie went into -5 out of 10.
Your
But
system.
then
Okay,
I
and
did.
then you had to
wait,
factor in
wait,
Kevin
wait,
Hart and
wait,
Ryan Reynolds.
Wait, Gray, I'm not done. I did factor in stuff I liked, and I did the same treatment I did for Wakanda Forever. And after doing the same treatment, giving back points, it ended on the 2.5 out of 10.
One day you're gonna have to explain to us how your point system works.
Yeah,
The
it would
first
be nice.
issue, I knock off 0.3 point. And the second issue, I knock off 0.2. So if I got 2 issues, that's a 9.5, except if I feel like one of the 2 issues weight more, then I drop it to 8.5. But starting with the third issue, I take off 0.5 to each issue. So the more issue, the lower the score. And if it goes under 0, like this one did, I give back points for the stuff that are good or that I deem worth mentioning. So this is why
I'm glad you have a system, but it's a little confusing. So if it doesn't go into negative, do you add anything back for the positive?
No, otherwise, sometime I would have inflated
Okay.
score. Like, I would most likely give like a very high score that don't
So it's like a
really
handicap.
represent. Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Yeah, for me,
And then one final question: does not funny count as 1.5 off of
each
it, or
not
is that
funny knock off a 0.5.
is a 0.5?
Yeah,
so each time
Wow.
I mean, because
Okay.
see, for me, the way it works is if just I don't like the comedy, that's not going to be 1 point down every time a joke is bad. It is
Yeah.
just going
For
to
me,
be,
it will be.
it's just going to be like, yeah, I don't like the humor. That's, maybe it'll downgrade the whole thing a little bit.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah, what if the movie was like an hour and a half shorter? Would it be a better movie then because they
Yeah.
wouldn't count as many jokes
Yes.
wrong?
most
What if
likely,
they spoke less in that
They-
2 hour period?
and-
It's a better
and
movie.
What if it was a silent film?
Yes.
I would mark side notes. Like, there are movies I gave good score that I didn't like. Perfect example, Godfather. I didn't like any of the Godfather. Maybe the third one, actually. That was the only one I maybe have
Oh,
liked.
wait.
But
You didn't like 1 and 2, but you liked 3.
Uh
yeah,
huh.
yeah. But
I don't think I can. I don't think I can come back to this podcast.
I'm just saying, you can mock my pick for Hobbs and Shaw. I know what it is. It's jangly keys, but it works for me.
again,
Yeah.
I
What?
consider all three Godfather as good movies, but I didn't like 1 and 2.
Nobody else does, though. Only 2 of them count.
Yeah. But there are many instances like Citizen Kane I thought was average. Like, I hated the movie, but I thought that was the average movie.
So listen.
No, I agree though. Citizen Kane
gotta-
was fucking stupid. That's
Listen,
overrated.
you got to take a film in its context. It was made in like 1941, and back then this thing was revolutionary. It was like, and a lot of the modern filmmaking techniques that we get today were used for the first time in this movie. So I don't think you can judge a movie from the 40s like you judge a movie from today, because a lot of
But I do.
a lot of them pioneered the shit that you see today.
Yeah. Well, I
You know,
do.
so all right.
Another example, like Space Odyssey, I thought was average, and I sounded crazy because everyone liked it.
I mean, I don't like it either, but I do, and but that's personal taste, and I don't like it. I don't like it because of personal taste. I think it's a bit too slow for me, and I'm not a big fan of the most, psychedelic moments. But I can still see the qualities that it has. I can still see what it did for filmmaking in general, and how much of an impressive feat it was in 1969 or in 1960. I don't remember a year it was released. Still, like even though for me it doesn't work, doesn't mean that it's a bad movie.
Yeah, again, I said it. Godfather are good movies. I just didn't like these movies.
That is fair. That is fair though.
Like
is
that.
totally fair.
That's how I view stuff. Like, I gave many, like, Flora of the Killer Moon, or I can't remember.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. I enjoyed a lot of it, but I didn't thought it was like a masterpiece or anything. Again,
for me,
that movie's
well,
fucking terrible.
And for me, it's my favorite film of 2023.
Oh my god, how?
Well, we'll get back to that if we talk about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah.
Anyhow,
I have a favorite that I wasn't
suffered
expecting
that
to like.
movie. I suffered it.
Um,
I mean, you know, it's a 3.5 hour long movie that took me 5 hours to complete.
We'll get to.
blame you.
You know what? We'll cross
look,
that bridge when we get there.
I can't blame you. I just can't.
It was
Anyhow.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I actually watch it anyway.
Patrick, I'm wondering, Patrick. So, what would be your grade for Hobbs and Shaw?
Sorry, my girlfriend just texted me right as you said that. And she's in the other room. She's so lazy. She's like, roll me a joint. Uh, oh, hold on.
Shout out to your girlfriend.
Based.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I was getting a I was
So
getting an
Drake,
alert. Okay, so no, I got it. I'm
Okay.
back. I'm back.
Okay.
So I give it like a 7. Okay, and or 6.5. All right, because it really wasn't a great movie, but your scale, multi of how you're grading these movies. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never witnessed it before, and I've never seen anything like it. It's the craziest fucking shit I've ever seen. It makes no fucking
Seems a little
sense. I'm
convenient.
sorry. It
Yes.
is really convenient.
It's
just
easy to use on everything. That's why I use it.
it's
This way,
basic.
everything is on the same level.
It's like however I want to score this. It's like I don't, you know, it's like it's like the kids when they flip the bottle and try to get the bottle. It's just a game. You know what I mean? Like it's just something you made up, so you could call it a
Right,
2.5. But
So you
but
put
I'm sure.
everything on the same level. So like, let's say that there's like just one wig that you don't like in the movie. You'll dock a full point for one wig.
No, as I said, the first issue, if I only got one issue, I only remove 0.3. Even
but
if
like,
I hated the
if-
movie.
If the jokes don't land, then that's one offense for the movie.
Yeah, and it's a
Not
point.
Yeah, the
her-
comedy is
not. It's not. What is it like? Punitive?
Yeah.
Nah, I think it's fair.
That's bullshit.
If you try to be funny, or don't try.
But maybe it's just
Oh,
all right,
dude.
fine, fair enough. If you don't think it's funny, but like you got to
You
look.
would have driven any film teacher that I knew completely crazy with that rating.
I mean, I think you gotta kind of pull it apart when you're looking at movies and how to how to rate them and because you have the level of like, all right, I enjoyed this. I really enjoy Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah,
Is it a good movie? No, it's fucking retarded. Like
exactly.
is it well made? Then you have to think like, well, wait a sec. There's a whole bunch of like crazy explosions, and if it's made for the people, if you're thinking about watching it from the point of view of the people it's intended to be made for, it's a fucking fantastic movie.
Yeah, and I do think that you need to judge a film on its own grounds. Like like you can't judge a film like you can't judge like Harry Potter the same way you'll judge 2001: A
I
Space Odyssey,
will.
'cause
Totally.
it's not trying to be the same thing. Like like again, like you can't say that a movie that's supposed to be like a fun action movie like this is bad because it's not realistic, because that's not what it's trying to be.
I don't care. If it's not, it's not.
Especially when it comes out of the Fast and Furious universe. None of that is
I got
believable.
the same issue with almost every after the second one.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's not trying to be realistic. And it tells you in the first 20 minutes of these movies, there's like an insane stunt with physics-defying action. And that way the movie tells you, hey, this is not a realistic film. It's not going to be a problem. But yet, for you, it's a problem.
Yes.
I don't think
Right
you're
out of the
watching movies correctly.
Right out of the gate.
It's
And you
an
got like
issue.
you got Ryan Reynolds and you got what's his name? What Kevin Hart. You have Jason Statham. You have all these amazing, charismatic, hysterically funny people, and
And
you're
you know
like, these jokes are not funny. I think you're just hating.
Do you mind if I give you a very fast screenwriting lesson? It's gonna be 5 seconds. If you mind, I won't do it. But if you don't mind, I will.
I would kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, so there's something right in filmmaking called the filmmaking contract. So basically, it's an implied contract between a movie and its audience, right? And what it says is that, hey, we're gonna in the first 20 minutes of the movie, we're gonna establish what this movie is. We're gonna tell you with the genre, and we're gonna tell you what type of film this is. If it's a comedy, we're gonna tell you if it's a horror movie. We're gonna show you the rules of the universe of this movie, right? So that way you know what to expect. And these are the rules of the movie for the whole runtime that you see in the first 20 minutes. The part of the movie is that in the contract is that they will not break those rules, right? And that to not take you out of the movie. But the audience's part of the contract is to accept those rules and not question them throughout the movie. That is the audience movie contract. It's a very important thing in filmmaking.
I think I heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah.
it many years ago.
And
It's just
you
so
are
far in my
breaking this
memory.
contract every time you watch
Hell
a movie.
yeah! Hell yeah!
Now,
So
well
you-
said. Well said, Alex.
Because
Well
you cannot
said, yeah.
judge a movie based on what it's not trying to be. That's not how film criticism works. You know,
I
like
can
you,
still judge it the way I want.
you can't like you
You
can't.
can. I just don't know that that's what traditionally is done.
I'm not traditional.
But it's not how it's supposed to work.
But then
Otherwise,
it kind of invalidates your judgment. If you're just gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna judge it on whatever the fuck I feel like. Like you got to follow the rules of judging
Yeah,
a
like,
movie
There's
on
a
the
lot
movie's
of
terms.
subjective. You got to know that there's a lot of subjective in critique
well, yeah, of
in
course,
general.
of course,
Like,
everything is
Most of
subjective.
critique is subjective. That's the thing.
Agreed. And that's why
Yeah,
objectively
enough.
this deserves a 6.5.
There you go.
Perfect way to end that part of the conversation.
Okay, so Fast 9. I will let whoever wants to go first on Fast 9 go first. I will be right
Fine.
back.
Okay, so I do not share the same enthusiasm for this movie as I did for, the ever fun Hobbs and Shaw. I hated this so much with a passion. Everything about it, just it hits so wrong for me. Starting off with like the race scene, and then you get that. Okay, so Toretto actually has a brother, and it's actually John Cena somehow, and we've just never known it. None of this works for me. And then you can tell that a lot of the actors are not actually in the same place with the other actors, specifically Vin Diesel. A lot of it, I think he's just acting on green screen. But every part of this just doesn't work for me. And I'm just, I don't know. Just once you get to, okay, we need to go back to Tokyo and somehow find Han again, but he was scoping it out with a sniper rifle the whole time. So why the hell was he hiding? It doesn't really make sense. And then, okay, we get to see, what was his name? Lil Bow Wow. I can't remember that character's name. With the giant, what would you call it? Jet engine or space engine on
Twinkie?
Yes,
Twinkie,
Twinkie.
right?
I could not remember that character's name for the life of me. And then, what's his name? The awesome guy from the second one. Anyway, yes, you're right. He played Twinkie. I could not find that at first. And then Lucas Black as Sean coming back. Just such great character work there. I really don't like that guy. I kind of despise him every time I see him on screen, and I don't know why. There's no real reason. That's just me. It is subjective. But just seeing those two back, it was just like, why are we going back to this? Like, this was the worst part of it. And then apparently now they're working with another scientist guy who's somehow funding putting spaceship engines on a car because we need to do this for some reason. I don't know. Like, this has been done before. I remember people doing it on like I don't know. I swear there's like some speedway in like a flyover state that's like nothing but flat ground, and they were doing that for years. But I don't know. Apparently, we have to now do that in this world, and then we need to actually send Ludacris and Tyrese up into space. I don't know. Just to me, none of it makes any sense. I really hate it. The action scene in space where, they're not going to make it in time. So they got to use their space NOS and crash into the satellite. And then magically they're right next to the ISS after that. And then they can ask to use the bathroom. None of it is, the humor doesn't land for me. And the action doesn't land also where, they take out that giant bridge and then, Dominic Toretto knows how to actually get across. And that's by driving into a stake that will somehow swing his entire car across, and they're going to get out of it unscathed. None of this works for me. I really hate this. This is the worst one in the series for me, and I get it. That's subjective, but yeah, no bueno for me. I think John Cena was a very bad addition to this.
All right. All right. So my turn, I guess. So F9. I'll say this. There's one thing that I really admire about this whole freaking franchise, which is that the bigger and stupider it gets, the more the plots gets convoluted, and the more they need to do shit like go to space or in a jungle. The writers will always find a way to make cars the center of the action, and that is an insane feat of screenwriting to me. So yeah, I will say this. As far as this one goes, I thought it was mostly kind of boring and kind of annoying. I did like it a bit better than Hobbs and Shaw. Um, there's some scenes that I like the opening scene in the jungle. Yeah, even though they have a Tarzan scene, I thought was kind of fun. It was kind of well made, kind of. And that's because at this point, I think Justin Lin just knows how to make these movies. He's directed I think it's like 5 of them or something. And yeah, there's some really dumb shit in it. Like bringing Han back, they spent like 20 minutes explaining how Han survived, with 5 minutes explaining on how bringing a car to space works. that is a very small, fun part of that movie.
Hell yeah! Just undermine
one
what
thing.
you did in the past.
Yeah.
Oh,
What happened?
You scared him away.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Didn't like my take. Oh,
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
back.
you
sweet.
take it out.
Sorry.
What happened?
Is it something
I don't
we
know. I got
said?
disconnected. I think StreamYard really likes F9. Just kicked me
Sometimes
out.
it sucks.
But yeah. So what I was gonna say after that. Yeah. They keep talking about Dom's brother, but I just never saw anything.
I can't remember Dom having a brother at all. I think they just introduced that brother for
No,
that
but like
movie.
he
I'm pretty
talks
sure
to his
that
brother,
because he did,
and
right?
but I mean he talks to his brother, but when they cut to the other shot, there's just nothing there. I don't get it.
Can't see him. I understand
Yeah,
what
you
you
can't see him. Thank you.
Family.
But no, for real though, they still do that thing where they will introduce a secret family member that someone has hiding somewhere, a secret sister or a secret brother that was never mentioned before, just so that they can have another character. In this case, it's John Cena playing Jacob Toretto, and he works fine. I think John Cena is a stronger comedic actor than he is a serious actor. And the fact that he's mostly the main villain for the whole thing made him overly serious, which kind of killed his performance for me. Yeah, I did like having Cypher back because she was she was a good villain in the previous one. But yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything more to say about this one. I checked out about halfway through, and I just decided to not go back when I finished it because it didn't feel like it was worth it. So yeah, that would be. I think that's it. I'm pretty much done with F9.
So, A-Based, what's your experience with that?
Well, I mean, I think at this point in the franchise, if you're watching Fast and the Furious 9, if you're watching F9, the Fast and the Furious saga, you deserve everything you're going to get, and you probably are expecting it. Like, these movies, there's just no more. There's nothing more they can do. What do we got? One more? There's one more Fast and Furious in this series?
Yeah, I think it's
Allegedly
10 next week. Yeah,
it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's part 1 of 2, bro. So we will.
I've seen it. I've seen these. I've seen all of them. I've seen everything that's out because Nikki has forced me to. My girlfriend, she fucking loves these movies, and I just zone out during them. They're so long. It's the same shit over and over again on repeat.
It's
But
2.5 hours.
But there
So
was a
long.
baby in the 8th one. There was a baby.
Yeah, there was a baby. It's all the same. It's all the same fucking movie. It's a series. It's like Loki. I'd rather
It's
watch
like,
Loki.
it's like the MCU in general. They're all the same at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. These movies are what they are. It's just I feel like they get away with so much shit in these long franchises because they know you're invested. They know everybody that they got to see the first couple are going to see the last, like the 9th or the 10th. Who's bailing out? Who's bailing out at 7? You've invested how many hours is that? 21 hours of
14.
your life if you watched
14
it.
hours. Maybe
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, okay. Let's call it 15, and you've probably watched them multiple times, and now discuss them on stream for 2 hours. You're not going to watch the rest of them. They got you. They can do whatever they want with these last couple of ones. Dominic Toretto's trans uncle. Who knows? He's got a rocket ship. It's going to fly right up your ass.
You know what? I would kind of want to see that. That would be a weirdly interesting character for the French.
Yeah, why not? Let's spice it up a little bit. I'm down. Yeah, I don't know. Good. They are what they are. These movies. It's like a series. It's like it's like any of these fucking things.
So this is like a masterpiece, right? Okay, so my first issue, cannot aim. Plot armor. The leads are driving through a minefield without destroying their cars when everyone else get blown up. Not funny. Pacing. Unnecessary use of flashbacks. Only the opening flashback with Dom father that really mattered. The rest didn't. Telling instead of showing. Not funny. Not funny. Cringe. Family line. Useless eye candy crap. So now the girls have super strength, flipping bigger and heavier guys. The big fight with them wasn't believable at all. The big fight between them and the others didn't make sense. They break walls, yet they don't break each other bones. Plot convenience, bus passing underneath the guys fighting. Plot armor done and the others keep jumping from high buildings without dying or getting messed up. Cypher wasn't needed, but hey, she is there. Dumb being able to single-handedly push 2 SWAT guys didn't make sense since one arm was enough for one guy. Them falling under the water didn't add any tension since nobody dies in the Fast and Furious saga. Plot armor on both guys in space. They blew up a satellite without ending their lives. Hell yeah, this is how we do. This is how we do. So the magnet were in the last one. Oh no, right. This one has also had magnet. You're right. Magnets. Anyhow, I will say that this one is worse than Hobbs and Shaw. I have less likes based on my notes. Again, it's the same stuff I enjoyed from every single movie, the action, the music, and yeah. I guess Dom got somewhat of a arc. He growth, his growth like into not wanting to have revenge anymore, I guess. But even there, it's not really great. Um, the action again, some of the humor did work, but more humor didn't land than humor that did land. So yeah, I don't have much more to say. Bad movie. So to finish that off, we will read out Cole's thought. Terrible film. I ate all the characters in it. Then bringing back everyone from the dead is so ridiculous and not in a fun way. John Cena somehow makes Vin Diesel look good in comparison. Once again, there's nothing fun in this film, which is the biggest issue. I'm perfectly fine with them being as dumb and ridiculous in these films as possible. Just give me entertaining action and embrace yourself as 5 and 6 did. This doesn't as the performance or blend doesn't recap. This doesn't as the performance or blend during every action scene, so there's no tension. I do agree. The camera work sucks, so the action scenes look like commercial instead of action scenes, and so on. Just a horrendous film, and I'm convinced this franchise is just a front for a money laundering scheme. Cole, you know the truth. You're the
I
best.
agree with this man. Yeah.
Based.
Yeah, based, very based. So I'm wondering if any of you would like to add more to this. I guess
Why
not.
does Charlize Theron do the worst hair choices in this franchise? I need to know.
Because people said that the cornrows that she had in the previous one were were racist. That's why.
Yeah.
Wow, really? That's
Yeah.
stupid.
She's a beautiful woman. They managed to make her look trashy as hell. Like she looks so
have you
strung out
seen
in those
Monster?
movies.
Have you watched Monster? This is the whole premise of Monster.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well,
she's
obviously,
a looker.
I'd still fuck her in that movie. She's a
Okay.
good-looking woman,
And she would murder you for it. That
I know,
is
and
also the point of Monster.
and I die a happy man.
Oh, Patrick, you're the
And your
best.
girlfriend is next to you, right? She heard that.
Yeah, she's in bed.
She knows
she's
the deal.
She's in the bedroom
Yeah.
with the door closed
Mm,
and probably a knife.
yeah.
So Cole's score is a 2 out of 10. So he also thinks it's worse than the other one. What about you, Patrick? What would be your fabulous grade of Fast 9?
I shoot from the hip and straight from the heart. So I'm just like a 5 because it's not for me, but I get it. You know, it's not like a bad movie. It's not good. It's just it's for the people who watched, 1 through 8. It's not for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex? What would be your grade out of 10?
I gave it a 4 because even though I checked out halfway through the whole thing, what I saw I think was okay. I don't think it was great. I didn't think it was as horrendous as the Hobbs and Shaw was. So yeah, 4 out of 10. That's the
Come on,
grade
like
that I'm
driving
rating
through a
it.
minefield. If you go 80, you'll be fine. That's better than Hobbs and Shaw.
I'm with you, Gray.
Yes, it is.
I'm with you, Gray.
All right, to each their own. That being said, I do agree with your score. I would also give it a 4, but for slightly different reasons.
I would give it a 2 out of 10. So I'm really similar to Cole on that one. So, A-based, I will ask you because I don't know. Have you seen anything else that was listed for this week?
I don't remember what's on the list. I did look.
I
I mean, you
Idea
saw
of
the
the
color
Snow.
purple, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I
new
got-
one?
I actually just have the soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it'd be a fair rating, man, but
No.
fine.
Yeah.
No, what else?
Um,
What else you guys got? I'm probably bailing out, but I'm just curious what you guys are doing next.
The other one is Society of the Snow.
Oh,
Yeah.
I started that and turned it off.
Maestro, one of the two. So, Society of the Snow, you
Maestro,
started?
Yeah, is that the one about the people who crash in the mountain and then they like
Yeah.
gotta eat
Yeah.
each other?
It
and shit?
is. It's like
Yeah,
the
it is.
true life story of that Alive movie
Of that
from like the
team.
90s.
Right. I saw the one in the 90s, so I'm good there. But I'm gonna let you
Oh, me too.
boys. Finish up these ratings
Oh,
for the
yeah.
evenings. I got
Always awesome to talk to you, sir.
Yeah, it's always good catching up with
Yes.
you, Gray, and Multi and Alex. I'm glad to see you all again. And
You're amazing, bro.
yeah,
Thank you
and,
for coming again.
no, you guys
That's
are the
great.
amazing
good luck.
ones. I mean, your
Good luck
rating
getting
system's
murdered by
all
your
fucked up,
girlfriend.
but that's all right. I can take her. She's a woman. She's a woman. What are we talking about here? What's she gonna
Jesus.
do?
Anyhow, you're
Yeah.
great. Have a good one. Take care, and we will talk later.
All right, I'll be back for Killers of the Flowers Moon
Deal.
Part
Have
3.
a good one,
All
Patrick.
right, bye guys.
So it's us three now. So, which topic you guys want to do next?
We'll go with Society of the Snow for me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, since I read every other Cole comments on that one, I will let someone else speak, and I will copy paste it so you see it. Okay, so I will copy.
Gray, I will let you read it because of your awesome voice.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
sir,
Thank you.
should be a voice actor. You should be a voice actor for real.
Well, thank you. I've dabbled quite a bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
nice.
here we are. Boom.
Put it in a bunch of different parts because yeah.
Yeah, and I will copy paste the rest of it because there's a bit of missing parts. So you can start now. It's on the chat.
Okay. All right, so these are Cole's comments.
Yeah.
This is a film that's well made, but I didn't enjoy. I thought there were many mediocre aspects to the script, and with important things they skipped over. The performances were good, but nothing special to me. Carrie, I think we're actually talking about Maestro with this.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
that
yeah,
Carrie
That's
Mulligan?
Maestro actually. Yeah.
you
We
send
can
the
start
wrong
with
one.
Maestro actually.
Okay, let's do my show.
I was gonna say, I thought the performances were like just amazing, so
We
I
start with
really wanted to hear
Maestro.
where he was going with
We
that.
start with Maestro. Sorry, that's Maestro. So let's start Maestro.
Okay. So the performances were good, but nothing special to me. Carrie Mulligan was probably the best part of the film. I enjoyed the marriage aspects of the story, but once again, they skipped over some pretty important parts of it. The lighting, cinematography, and color grading is good. I liked when they kept switching from black and white to color. Sorry, it looks like it was back instead of black. So
Back and white.
my bad. Yeah, when they went from black and white to color. Yeah, then it looks like that's where the comments unfortunately cut off there. When they went black and white, it feels choppy at many points, and there's a lack of chemistry and emotion in it for me. They didn't explore many things that make me feel anything, and a lot of it was surface level. Solid, but I would never watch it again if I had the choice.
And this concludes his comments. So
Ooh, harsh words from Cole.
yeah.
I go next.
You know, to kind of echo his, I think a lot of his comments I do kind of share. You know, this is Bradley Cooper's second attempt at directing. I think he's got some really amazing visual shots. I thought a lot of the transitions, he really thought them out well, like how one scene will transition into another. I thought there was really cool use of film in that way. Again, I did like the kind of passage of time through black and white, and then we get to color, and then like through their, you know, clothing, you can kind of see the passage of time. I guess they're showing it rather than just telling you, like they're not just putting a title card up there saying like this is now 1970 or whatever. But that being said, to me, it feels like these are just a bunch of unconnected scenes. I know you're kind of getting a glimpse of their marriage and his life through it, but I don't know. It just, to me, it feels like a lot of these biopics that came out this year, like Napoleon kind of feels that same way to me. I don't feel like I truly understand the characters in this. Like Cole was saying, the one that I think I know the most is Carrie Mulligan, but even then, I don't feel like I truly know the character. And then from looking into some of the backstory on this, it's maybe not the most accurate portrayal of their marriage. So even what I feel like I did kind of learn from this, I don't know. I'm not sure how accurate it is. I guess I was hoping for more of, you know, I don't want to see him as a kid and then like grow up to where he is. I like that they kind of chose certain scenes. I didn't get the connection between them. That being said, you know, the costuming, the makeup is like amazing. There's so many
Makeup
aspects
is
of this that like,
nuts.
yeah, like filmmaking level, like every part of it hits. Like the lighting is great, the cinematography is great. I love the makeup, I love the costume. It's really just like the actual story, and it sucks because I guess he spent like between 6 and 10 years like really working on this to try and get just what he wanted to get on screen, and he feels like he has. So I don't know, maybe a second viewing would get me more of what he was going for. Perhaps I missed some of it, but yeah, it just didn't really hit right to me. Where some of the other ones we watched this week really gave me a lot more feelings than this
like
one.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, it did actually. I had happy emotions after that. With this, I don't know. I did happen to watch him conduct. No, I can't remember what it is, but it's essentially the one at the end. But there's real footage on YouTube that you can watch of that one. And it is pretty awesome. Like he does have the motions down pretty well to mimic this guy, but I don't know. It just feels kind of cheap. Like the opening line that they put up, not opening line, the opening, I guess, paragraph, the opening quote from him where he's talking about like art should be confusing and it shouldn't be explained. I don't know if they necessarily earn that with everything that's in here. And then I guess they gave Carey Mulligan the line that he's known to have said that, you know, he's looking for his summer and he needs summer to do his art or whatever. I'm totally terribly misquoting that. But apparently in an interview, he said that. So they now gave Carey that line. I don't know. Overall, I'm not feeling like I learned a lot from this film. Just like, you know, that was a hard time. It would suck to not be able to be yourself. I don't know. It looked very pretty. I don't think I'm getting what they meant to for you know, the message that they were trying to convey with this.
Well, I can tell you. I think.
Yeah.
I can tell you. I think what it's all about.
Yeah.
I think I get it. It's just really like I don't think it hit home not hit home. I don't think it was successful for me. But I would love to hear your interpretation, and especially if you had a different experience with it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Are you done, Gray?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, so first of all, I want to talk about Bradley Cooper as a director because I really enjoyed his remake of A Star Is Born. I thought he had some great ideas in there, and he's obviously someone who loves music and loves art and loves to explore those themes in his films. And I do think that as far as filmmaking goes, he is excellent. He is a very good filmmaker. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it is pitch perfect for most of the time. And as far as this one goes, it did give me some of the most beautiful shots of 2023. Like I'm talking about, like, the one where Carey Mulligan is watching him conduct from backstage for the first
where
time,
she's
and
literally in his shadow.
She is literally in his shadow, which is
they were amazing visuals. A lot of the
that
transitions
shot,
too were just gorgeous.
Yeah, that shot is insane. It's extremely beautiful, and it's just with one shot you understand what a big part of their relationship is going to be like. And I think that is just brilliant filmmaking. Also, the one take where he conducts the orchestra for like a full-on 5 minutes, and it's one take, no cuts. It is incredibly beautifully done, and the fact that it was actually Bradley Cooper doing this because he learned how to conduct an orchestra to do this movie, which is an insane feat in itself. It took him years to learn it, but he did, and he did it very well. In terms of pure filmmaking, this movie is insanely well made. The black and white is gorgeous. It's incredibly beautiful in every frame of painting,
I second everything that you're saying. The only part that I forgot to mention was just the music. That was also so spot on. And they used like his actual scores for almost everything except for the additional music. But I thought the additional music was great as well. Just every aspect of filmmaking, I would say, spot on except for the writing for me. But it is a true story, so I could be totally wrong.
Yeah. As far as the themes of the movie go, you had trouble, understanding what they were. And for me, and I think that what the movie is going for is showing the throughout Leonard Bernstein and his wife's relationship, the kind of duality that there was, as in fame versus privacy, right? And each of them chose one part of this. Leonard Bernstein was someone who very much enjoyed being in the spotlight. He enjoyed the fame. He reveled in it, and his wife did not really. Like, she was an actress, so it came with it, but she really relished her privacy. And I feel like she, and in the movie it's shown that she really wished that they would connect more on that aspect of their relationship. So to me, that's what the movie's about. So yeah, privacy versus fame, and how a relationship can be affected when it's in the public eye. And it was very much in the public eye, since Leonard Bernstein was so famous at the time. It's very heartbreaking, the way they treat the fact that he was gay and just refused to admit it for many years. So for me, I think the movie does come around well thematically, because every scene is a little bit about that, about fame versus privacy. I think it works great for that. But I do have some problems. First of all, I think that everybody underacts so much. I do think that they don't put enough emotions in their acting, and like especially the big like blowout scene that caused their divorce, right, somewhere in the second act of the film. Like, there's no big blowout. Everybody kind of stays on the same level at conversational levels, and to me that is a problem in the the direction, the acting direction. I think that they had trouble figuring out where they wanted to bring the characters and their emotions, which made them all act kind of on the same level. There's no escalation in the emotion. There's no downgrade. It's always just a flat line, which for me was a big problem, because if the characters in the story don't care about what's happening to them, why should I? Why should I? And
True.
yeah,
Agreed.
and I do feel yeah. But so yeah, I think that the intent was there, but the execution was a bit iffy. And I do think another problem with this movie is that I think it's very insincere in what it's doing. Like, at some point, I felt like, even though there was a lot of work put into it by Bradley Cooper, it felt like they were making this movie more because of the prestige of making a biopic that could win them awards.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
It's so well said.
Other than it being an actual passion project, and I think that is, and I felt the fact that it lacked a lot of sincerity. And and I will take a movie that feels real and sincere any day over impressive making like that. Even though the ideal would be that the two would be combined. Here, I feel like it was very much style over substance, and the desire for awards over the desire to tell a good story, and to make their audience feel something. Because at the end of the day, even though I really like the filmmaking, I like the way they play around with the themes of the movie, I think that I felt nothing for most of it. And even when Carey Mulligan gets cancer in the film, even though she plays it very well, I think it doesn't work because we don't have that attachment to her character, which would make it emotional. But instead, it's just another thing that happens in the story instead of I
was going to ask you. So I had slightly a different experience because like Carey Mulligan was the only one that I kind of felt that connection with. Like Bradley Cooper, I completely agree. Like, he looked spot on. Like, the makeup is great, but I just always felt like he was like mugging for the camera, or there was something like kind of hollow to it.
Yeah,
I don't know. For some reason,
exactly.
Carey Mulligan was kind of feeling grounded to me, but I guess you weren't feeling that same thing. So
Me neither.
and I really do like Carey Mulligan as an actress. I think she's very good. I think she's a better actress than Bradley Cooper in many aspects. But that may be because Bradley Cooper has been acting in Marvel for so long that he's forgotten not to be an actor. um, but yeah, so that's the problem. So yeah, that's the main problem for me. This movie could have been great. It should have been great, but it lacked sincerity. And I feel like they didn't really know where they were going acting-wise, which made the whole thing a bit flat, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's about what I have to say. Maybe I'll think of some more stuff later on, but for now, that is my opinion on Maestro. And I would highly suggest that you all go listen to Leonard Bernstein's actual music. It is beautiful.
So with this movie, that's another Godfather case where I do think it's a well-made movie. It's a good movie, but I just didn't connect. I didn't give a crap. Like, if we only speak about my enjoyment and entertainment, that was a 4, but the movie was much better than that, so that's my final score. Anyhow, my first issue would be characters are forgettable. I didn't make any connection with any of them. Since I consider this movie as a product of its own, as a story of its own, I won't consider what truly happened. With that being said, for a movie that takes place in 1943, it doesn't make sense that one character would be openly gay during that period of time. It was still demonized to love men.
Well, yeah,
when you're
but
a
he
man.
wasn't. He wasn't openly gay. That's the thing. He pretended to love a woman for years and years because it was so much demonized. Like, he was gay in his privacy, but it was not openly. Like, people didn't know he was gay.
Well, you get to flirt in a party. I feel like that's a thing we see like in modern day, but I don't see like him flirting with other men in a party like that. It feels just off.
It definitely happened, but
And in present day, yes,
even then
in
it
present
happened.
day.
It happened even then. It's just that it wasn't out in the open, because they couldn't, because it was very problematic back then. People, it was criminal in many parts of the world, so they would just not do it, and they would do it very much in their own in privacy, which is what the movie does. Like, yeah, there's a party, but it's not in a gay bar. It's in someone's house. It's at their own house. Yeah. It's in their own privacy, and the cops, the cops cannot be there.
Yeah, it's kind of not in front of everyone too. It's just the suitor that he thinks would accept the advance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he doesn't, and he doesn't do it in the open.
There were people around. There were people around. So,
but it's a party. There's music.
Yeah.
You don't. And when you're at a party, do you listen to every conversation that's around you? Not necessarily. And maybe he was bold with it. Maybe it was bold. He's like, "Hey, I'm tired of hiding," which is totally fair.
Well, and he was open with his close friends and acquaintances, supposedly. But just for public appearances, he had a wife.
Yeah, I just like the other thing is we just covered Doom Patrol, and I feel like the TV show did address gay couple a better way. I feel like just the way he didn't feel like it felt real that it was openly gay in Doom Patrol, but here it feels.
But he's not openly gay here. He's not openly gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is one of the criticisms that the film is getting, that it wasn't queer enough, that it didn't show that aspect of his life. But supposedly this was Bradley Cooper trying to focus on that aspect of it, like his marriage.
Yeah, because he wanted to show how his marriage would reflect on his career and everything, which is fine. But the fact that he was gay was a big part of his marriage.
Yeah, maybe I'm too harsh. So maybe I will take.
You're not the only one with that criticism that it could have been further, or they could have explored that more.
Yeah, it just feels off that he would go up to someone, and at that point, I don't really know because I didn't connect with any of the character, but I don't really know what's the attachment or the link between that character and the other one. So I did he do that to anyone, or did he do this to a guy he knew? That's also a thing. Like, did he just came up as gay to a random stranger, or did he came up as being gay to like a person he knew? But again, that's an issue with the character because I didn't really connect with any of the characters. So I
Mm.
like if that's someone you knew, then okay, I can swallow the pill better. But if it's a stranger, then that just reinforced the idea of
He swallowed more than pills.
my oh my. Anyhow, next issue, pacing. The entire runtime of the movie could be more tight, therefore shorter by trimming some of the scenes down here and there. I just feel like the 2 hour and like 20-ish minute wasn't justified. Feel like the movie could have lasted an hour and a half and tell the same kind of story, but maybe that's a me issue. I don't know.
No, I agree with you there. Actually, I think you're right.
Um, so yeah, I still have a few likes. Um, the actors and characters, even if they are forgettable, I thought they did their job. They were somewhat entertaining at some point in some places during the movie. Uh, both lovers were entertaining. Well, we kind of know that the guy didn't really love that much the wife, but hey, they were entertaining to watch. Um, the music. I like the music, the orchestra, the acting was on point. Outside of that, I don't have much more to say. I said it like my enjoyment was a 4, but I know the movie was better than this. So yeah, since I don't have much more to say, I will ask you, Gray and Alex, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Um, I apologize about that. I didn't think my bird was going to scream the second that I unmuted that. I so sorry. Uh, I think the music is just like amazing, and it really does give me more of an appreciation for everything that he really did. I have been listening to the music a little bit more in the last couple of days since watching this. But yeah, I was more familiar with kind of his musicals, West Side Story, and now I can't remember the other major one. But yeah, just the music in this was amazing, and I thought the choice of the music, it really emphasized each scene. And then learning afterwards that like they did use his entire scores to kind of do the emotional uh, kind of movement in this. I just thought it was a great use of his actual music. So I really do have more of an appreciation for his music. I just wish I kind of knew something about him. I don't feel like I really learned much from this other than, okay, these scenes may or may not have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what would be your grade out of 10, starting with Alex?
For me, again, I appreciate a lot of what this movie is doing. A lot of it, as I said, there are a lot of issues in terms of the acting and the insincerity of it all. So for me, this would be a 7 out of 10. I think.
And when it comes to me, again, I didn't like the movie, but I do think it's a good movie, so I will give it a 8 out of 10. Um, what about you, Gray?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Parroting everything that Alex said, there's so many amazing filmmaking aspects in this. Just it rings hollow to me for some reason. So I think I'd give it like a 6.5. Um, yeah, I understand it is quite scary that I give Hobbs and Shaw a higher score than this. That doesn't sit right with me. Um, Filmmaking, this is a much better movie. Just
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy many of the performances. Really, there's just one that kind of rings true to me. But yeah, perhaps that is a me problem. I think I would like to watch this again at some point, but yeah, I kind of think that would be a task right now, like a chore. So it's going to be a while.
So Cole's score was a 6 out of 10, so he is similar to yours, but his scoring system is different than mine, but it's also similar because for him a 6 means that's like average for him or good. I can't remember which one is it, but 6 is not bad by any means. So he's still very harsh and strict in his rating. So for him, that's a 6. That means average or good. I can't remember exactly, but that's in the C. Anyhow, I guess now it's time for Society of Snow. Is that the last thing you have seen, Alex? Right?
Yeah, it is the last thing I have seen. I have missed the Color
Oh,
Purple.
you didn't see the musical Color Purple?
I really wanted to because I do like musicals a lot, and yeah, I missed it. I wanted to go see it today, but I thought the stream
Out
was
of
later. Yeah, I thought the stream was at 7:30, so I would have had time then. But yeah, I'll see it. I'll see it eventually. No worries.
Fair enough.
So
No judgment.
yeah, I guess Society of Snow is the next topic, and we will do the same thing. We will let Dre read out what I will be posting in the private chat. So one of you can start on that one as I try to copy paste.
Would you want to start, Alex, and then I'll get the comment and I'll go with that one next.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start with Society of the Snow. So first of all, I want to say I love this director so much. Juan Antonio Bayona is a director that popped up with the horror film The Orphanage, I think in 2007, which was already kind of a slap in the face for how good it was for a haunted house movie. And then he did a bunch of really cool things like The Impossible, which was another disaster film. He directed Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, which is the best of the three. You're not ready for that debate. It is the best of the three. And more recently, Monster Calls, which is just a beautiful, beautiful fairy tale, extremely touching. And now Society of the Snow. I was very hyped for this. Based on the true story of that plane that crashed in the Andes, and of that rugby team who had to resort to cannibalism in order to survive. So I want to say that this movie is extremely good in terms of directing. It is incredible. First of all, it's very brutal at times. Like that crash scene is violent. Like it is violent. You live it all from the inside. And and you see it does close up on like bones being crushed and people being killed in horrible ways. It's very brutal. It's hard to watch at times. And yeah, I think that the way that he does it very much speaks to the themes of the movie, which is how do you find humanity in a situation as dire and as fucked up as that, which is the main theme in a lot of his movies, actually. And in this, and I think it's a perfect story for that, because that's the main thing that the characters are facing. They are trying to keep their humanity, even though they're in this situation. They're faced with this horrible choice of whether or not, committing cannibalism. And I think it's very well made. It's very anxiety-inducing in some parts, like the way that he shoots every time there's something like happens, like an avalanche or something. It's all shown in close-ups and from the point of view of the characters, just so you feel their suffering firsthand. He never does like a pullback and shows like the whole thing from afar. It's always from the character's perspective that you will see these things happen, which makes a lot of it really heartbreaking and really tough to watch, which is a great thing in my opinion. It's a movie that's very isolating. Bayona actually shot the movie on location in the actual place where that plane crashed. So they were there for like a few months shooting this, and so when you see the actors losing weight, they actually did it. They actually had a very bad, terrible diet so they could lose that much weight in order for the movie to be realistic. So they actually suffered, exactly like their characters did. And the theme of humanity comes back so often in this. Like you have this character who picks up a camera at some point and starts taking pictures of everything, like to document. And all you see in these pictures is them, smiling and trying to make the best of it, and the way that they try to keep their humanity is very beautiful. You have this moment where they're taking a picture of the group in front of the plane wreck, and there's a bunch of human parts in front of them. I think it's a rib cage, and before the photo, one of them will hide it with a tarp. Will hide, because just to be like, yeah, that's not who we are. We're more than our actions here. So I think it's extremely beautiful. But I do have some problems with the movie, which is that, first of all, as much as I think you really get attached to these characters as a group, individually they are not as well developed and characterized. So when they, some of them go their own way, I have trouble remembering who they are individually because they kind of all act the same way. They don't really stand out personality and writing wise. So yeah, even though as a group they're very easy to get attached to, it doesn't work as much when they're it's only each of them individually. I think it's kind of a problem. And also, like, at some point in the movie, they'll start like eating their dead friends to survive. And for a whole part of the movie, you'll be from the point of view of a character who doesn't want to see the horror. He doesn't want to watch the other ones, cut the skin and prepare the meat. So you won't see it because it's in the point of view of that character. But since it's a movie about trying to keep your humanity, at some point they end up under the snow, and they end up stuck together in a very small space. So now the characters cannot shy away from the cannibalism because it's right there in their face. They can't get out. But the movie still refuses to show you the gore, and I think that is a bit of a mistake at that part because I think you need at that point to confront these characters to their own actions. So shying away from the gore, even though I get why Bayona did that, I think it was a bit of a mistake. What else do I have on that one? This is one thing that I loved, the way he uses wide-angle lens to tell his story. So for those who don't know, a wide-angle lens, it's a camera lens that is used to shoot landscapes, right? And when you put it in a small space or in someone's face, it'll really deform the picture. It'll make it look very strange and very weird. It'll exaggerate like the features of the face and make the frame almost look circular sometimes, almost like a circle. And so he uses that a lot in the movie, and mostly at the beginning and at the end. So he uses it to signify that the situation they're in is not normal. It is not their routine. It is something strange. Therefore, the filmmaking looks a bit strange. The picture is off. It's a bit deformed. So at first when they're in that first phase after having crashed, and they're trying to survive, get their bearings and start doing the cannibalism, you will have a wide-angle lens, signifying that it's a new situation, it's not normal. And then the more the movie progresses, the more that wide-angle lens goes away, as the more they get used to that situation, right? And then at the end, when they get rescued and they're taking a shower for the first time and they're talking to their loved ones, the wide angle comes back. This is again a new situation that they are not used to, and this is so smart and such a beautiful way to use that lens. I thought it was absolutely brilliant and a stroke of genius from Bayona as a director. And yes, I just think it's an excellent film. And it starts off the year very strong. I'm pretty sure it'll get an Oscar nom for Best Foreign Film, since this is a Spanish film. And I think it should. I think it should get one. And of course, like, the acting is great all around the board. And there's some moments that are so smart. Like, if you rewatch the movie, when they crash, some of them are suspended like in the air, like from the like above the seats where you put your luggage. They're suspended from there, from the luggage holders. And those characters that are suspended, they are the ones who are going to die later on. So the movie puts them between heaven and earth, just to foreshadow that they're going to die. And it's so brilliant. It is so smart. Bayona is a genius, and I'm already very excited for his next film. There you go. That is what I have to say about Society of the Snow.
Oh yeah. Those
So-
were some really awesome observations. I didn't notice that with the lenses, but that is really amazing. I want to kind of watch it again and see that. But yeah, that really, I noticed, definitely they were using a lot of wide angles, but I didn't notice the kind of sense of normality that they were getting with that. That's really kind of amazing. That really makes me want to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of what you're saying in there. The one thing that I'd kind of push back on is the shying away from the gore. They went gory as hell with the plane crash and everything. I think it really shows that and like the devastation of that. But they don't want their story to be, we ate our friends. Like I think they're shying away from, showing that gore to show more, like the same reason why they put Numa as like kind of the main character and then he doesn't actually make it. Like that, I never saw that coming. I just assumed he is one of, they mentioned he's got the strongest legs and everything quite a few times. I just assumed he would have been one of them that actually gets like the rescuers to come back. But they did that, and I think they're also not showing the gore of, actually cutting up their friends to show a bit of reverence for the survivors and to make it their story, not just, their meat in this, but instead like it really shows kind of their humanity. So I don't know. I do worry if they did show more of the gore of that, it would take away from, the ones who didn't survive their humanity.
I don't think so, because in terms of filmmaking, you need to confront the characters to their own actions, because you follow a character who doesn't want to do that, to confront it, to accept the fact that he's eating people, and they're and Bayona puts them in a situation where they have to confront it because they're in an enclosed space and they have to eat still, but he still doesn't show it. And to me, that was a bit of a missed opportunity in terms of having a
they do show
important character
the
moment.
two that were most against it do end up caving on it, that it is a matter of life or death. But they do kind of make it known that it was the two cousins, I believe, who were the only ones doing like the cutting up of everything and like preparing it for everyone. So I think even the survivors were kind of isolated from that to a degree.
Oh, and if you will allow me, there's one thing that I forgot to say.
Yeah, go for it.
I was saying, how the movie feels very isolating sometimes. And there's this scene when they start, like, they send a few of them away to try to find, people to rescue them, right, to go into Chile. And there's this very long sequence where they go up a mountain for a while, and you see it's hard, it's excruciating, it's cold, because they're not equipped to climb mountain there.
Yeah,
they're not equipped, and then they get on top of it, and what they see is just more mountains, bigger than the one they're on, harder to navigate because they're rocky. And that moment is fucking devastating. It is so heartbreaking to see that after all they went through.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that. Gray, you can continue.
Yeah, I've just got a couple of extra things. I really do, second like everything that you said on this, and the choice of lenses and just like how they film this is just amazing. I wouldn't have thought of, showing the beauty and like the awe of this crash afterwards. But just the way that they did that is just so amazing. And then, the utter hopelessness that comes every time they do kind of a wide shot of the wreckage and you can't see anything. I don't know. Visually, there's a lot that I'm taking away from this, but just storytelling. I really like what they ended up doing with this. My previous experience with this is that 90s movie Alive, and they changed everyone to like American, and it was not a very good depiction of this. I wasn't really excited going in to see this film. I kind of knew what it was going to be about, but wow, it's just so moving. And I think this is the best film I've watched in quite a few weeks. So yeah, it's really going to stick with me. But I guess let me move to Cole's comments. So he was saying for Society of the Snow, I'm glad they made a better movie of this story after that sappy, shitty Alive film. This was shot and filmed extremely well. I love the detail and the lighting, the makeup design that they put with even paying attention to their teeth. The editing is solid and the actors did their job. My two only issues would be A, the lack of variety in the musical score and in scenes, and B, how too many characters felt the same. I have no issue with there being not really any standouts in the film because there's so many people in this true story and they're all just regular people trying to survive that it makes sense. Sort of like Dunkirk, how it worked well there. So the issue with it isn't that, it's the fact that they all just sound and act fucking same in too many scenes and how they're written. Other than that, it was a great film. I do want to point out a couple things that he mentioned. The makeup work in this was just like amazing. They really do make the sunburns, the horrible teeth like really stand out in this.
Well,
and
a lot of
he
it
put
really
them through
makeup.
that amazing. Yeah.
They just did it for real. They went on those damn mountains and they stayed there for months with minimal food to get them in that state.
Yeah, he kept telling the actors ahead of time, like, this is what I'm going to require of you. This is going to be this. We're going to depict this as realistically as possible. And damn, those actors definitely deserve some praise for that. They really put themselves through a lot for this. But yeah, the other thing that he called out was kind of the score. I love the score. I ended up watching a kind of behind the scenes feature on like how they got the score. So they wanted to use a lot of instrumentation from the area, where this actually was crashed. So there's like a lot of drums and even chanting in like the languages from that region. But then they used a bunch of different things, like literally like hitting piano strings with like a hammer to get like kind of eerie sounds that aren't exactly a chord, but it's multiple voicings. It's not just like a single note. Some of that was just eerie, and I don't know, it really sticks with me, especially, the juxtaposition between like the beautiful visuals and then that just jarring sound. I don't know, something that this score did, it really stuck with me. I would like to see it again for not only the lens that you were talking about, Alex, how they were doing like the wide for things that were a little bit more weird, and then the regular, long lens for when things are normal. But I'd also like to see it again for the score. I had a different experience with the score than Cole, but I like a lot of his comments as well.
Yeah, and that's funny because I did struggle a lot to freaking copy paste it for some reason. Discord copy paste everything. Anyhow, yeah, I like Cole's take on that. What is yours, Gray? What did you think outside of what you already said?
So I think this was the best film I've seen in weeks. The only one that even comes close is another one that I thought I would not like, Iron Claw. That thing is just like amazing.
Iron Claw is really, really good.
I did not think I would like that at all. Like a wrestling biopic, like that's not my whatever. Well, that is not for me, but apparently it was amazing.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I just thought every aspect of this hit right for me. I was familiar with that horrible movie Alive, and I thought it was going to be a rehashing of that, but with subtitles, and I couldn't have been more wrong. Like this was just beautiful. I loved every part of it.
You guys should watch Leona's other films. They're so good. He is such an amazing filmmaker.
So I got to say something. Side note, having to read everything took me out of the movie. It was hard.
Okay, listen.
It was so hard.
I know you don't like subtitles, which is fine.
I ate this shit.
But
he's not a subtitle man.
But you not liking the subtitles is not the movie's fault.
It's not an issue. Again, it's a side note.
So don't fucking dock points for this.
No, I didn't. That's what I say. When I say side note, it's not an issue. I didn't dog point for that. Because I know it's a me issue for this. So my first issue. With the cold, it should take less than a week for some of the people to lose fingers and toe. It's an issue that is not even a thing in the movie. Now I know
Dude.
it's based on a true story, but I don't give a crap. If you write a story in the snow, you must at least know that, oh yeah, some people may have lost their fingers and toes.
You
I
do
don't know.
realize that they found clothes, right, in the luggage to get dressed with?
Yeah, but it's still freaking cold. I mean, even
Yeah,
if
but
they
they
were
found a lot of
dressed up,
clothes.
the first things that freeze on a body are the fingers and the
Yeah,
toes.
but
They
Because they
you do
are
did
see
like,
also
it.
have shelter, though.
They
I
have
understand what you're
shelter.
saying, but like they didn't in real life lose it. So wouldn't that be like a criticism if they make them lose like their
none of
noses
them
and
lost
fingers?
any finger or toes.
No.
No,
It's a
not all of
goddamn
them.
miracle. What?
Some did. Well, again, they had shelter. They
Shelter,
took
man.
shelter in the wreckage, and and then
Okay.
they had full on shelter beneath the snow after the collapse.
So I guess I will take away that issue, but it's so weird.
And
It's a
you do see some
miracle.
frostbite. Like this guy has some frostbite under his eyes.
Yeah.
You see it.
So I guess the movie slightly got better because apparently none of them lost fingers and toes in real life, which is weird and a miracle at the same time. So my only issue is then plot convenience. Someone just happened to be nearby the walkers. Does this happen really in real life? Like a
In real
random
life, it was
person?
3 guys. Apparently, it wasn't just
Yeah.
one guy. They also took their liberty with that, but it was 3 guys. They threw a rock over, and then it took them an entire day to come back. They
Yeah.
couldn't hear them, so they came back the next day and threw a rock. Excuse me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
So
that
it
really
happened.
happened this way in real life.
It is
Okay.
a weird story of a lot of like, how could that possibly happen? But it did, man. But
Yeah. So
they did take it down from 3 guys on horses to just 1, though.
So okay, so then I don't have any issues then if it's really what happened.
it
They
is.
dumb luck. So I
And
guess
they actually took some more out of it. So, like when the helicopter comes back to get the rest of the people,
yeah.
8 of them had to stay behind one more night, along with 4 rescue people.
They
They
didn't have the
left them
space
there,
in the
but
helicopter.
yeah, they didn't have enough space in the 2 helicopters, and they couldn't do another mission that same day. So they actually had to spend one more night. Like that would be
How, how many spent one more spent a night alone or
I
what?
believe
Well,
it was
they
8
spent
of
one more
them.
day. Yeah, 8 of them
Yeah.
will spend one more day.
Well, that's a miracle they survived.
Yeah, that's the whole
Wow.
point. I mean, a lot of them died. Like I think they were
Yeah.
27 that lived when after the crash, and I think like 12 came back alive.
So I guess that movie has no issue whatsoever. I like the acting. Um, the airplane sequence was amazing. How you really see like that part of the plane getting tore apart and people getting crushed and
It's brutal.
it was
It is
brutal.
brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal and it was well made. Respect on that. The sadness of the mother death it hard, and every
Mhm.
character, even if I didn't care about any of them, it was sad, man.
Yeah, as I
Because
told you,
it feels real.
it was real.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like again, like as a unit, you get attached to these people as a group. Individually, not so much.
That's why I didn't point out like all characterization was, because I got the point of that movie. The point of that movie was showing a group, and this is why I was like, oh, I won't knock off point for characters because that was a group as one character. The death of the sister was well made. The music was great. The message about God telling you what to do at home but not in the mountain was great. Vasco death was sad. The guy wisdom was cool. The crime scene was well made. The music, the death of Numa was sad. The music was well chosen again. The ending was great. Um, so I don't have much more to say. I will say that after we talked and after I kind of realized how lucky they truly were, this movie rose up really high. I think this movie even if it wasn't really my cup of tea, and that was really rough for me to like read everything. I do think it's a flawless movie. Um, so since I don't have much more to say, I will give this movie a 10 out of 10. But among all of the 10s I gave, this is the lowest one because again, um, I had a hard time connecting, and if we didn't consider real life events, we had actual worry because they were lucky. They were damn lucky there.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
not
not all
losing a single toe or finger is crazy
yeah,
because
I mean, yeah, yeah.
with the weather, man, the weather is nasty there. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So
But
so
again,
yeah,
they had shelter, so they got lucky there to be able to use the wreckage as shelter to
yeah,
protect themselves from the weather. And yeah, I forgot to mention, I really like what they do with when someone dies, and you see like their name and
yeah,
their age pop up. That
yeah,
really shows you. Well, it reminds you that yeah, these were real people. They're not made up characters. They were real human beings that died. And every time one more name was added to the list, it really fucking hurt. Like every time.
yeah. I think it added the fact that they really humanize as much as they can all of the victims.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what the
that's a
movie's about.
strength.
It's about that. It's about keeping your humanity in the worst situation possible.
Yeah. So, what would be your grade out of 10, Alex?
For me, it would be a solid 9. Like, by the way, just so you know, I don't do like half points. I don't do like 9.5 or 9. I don't do that. And I don't do minuses or like past 10. I don't do like so no 11s, no minus ones or anything. So yeah, it's a solid 9. Again, my only hiccup with it, my only real hiccup with it is that the characters as individuals don't are not very well characterized and written, but as a group, they feel like a family and they're like real people. So that's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, fair point. Really good point. I like that. What
Mhm.
about you, Gray? What would be your grade?
It's going to echo almost exactly what Alex said. So I do believe in those evil half points, but on this one, I'm still giving it a solid 9. It's not quite perfect, and I think what would make it a little bit more perfect is if you did kind of get a little bit more characterization. But that being said, I went in expecting to hate this, and I think every frame of it is really beautiful, despite the subject matter. So yeah, it really won me over. For me, it's a really strong 9, but yeah, really good flick.
When it
Yeah, and
comes to
again,
Cole, it was a 7.5 out of 10.
yeah, it was the
Um,
harshest of the bunch.
yeah, not surprised because that's Cole. Thank you, Cole, for sharing that. So, Alex, since you have not seen anything, do you want to add anything more?
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. By the way, I hope we were I wasn't too harsh on you about the way you judge movies and your takes.
I'm always getting roasted all the time, so that's
All
fine.
right, cool. I
I'm
just
used
because
to it.
I'm new to this podcast. So I
No
don't want to
apologies
be a dick.
necessary. He brought it on himself.
Still, I don't want to be a dick.
You see him?
You're a
You
cool
see him?
person.
You see him? That's what I live every day. But that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to be a dick. You're a cool person.
Trying to
But
be.
yeah, so yeah, but yeah, if you ever want to learn about movies for real, come to me. And yeah, you all should watch the rest of Juan Antonio Bayonna's films. They're amazing. And for you
For
multi
sure.
and like subtitles, The
My
Orphanage
no.
is the only one is the only other one that is subtitled because
And it's
the other
amazing.
three, yeah, and the other three he made in the States, so they were in English. And I highly recommend, especially A Monster Calls. It's a beautiful, beautiful fairy tale, and it's fucking heartbreaking. It is so beautifully made, uh, and yeah, it has some incredible animated parts. So yeah, look up J. Bayonna's filmography. Watch the movies. You will not regret it. I promise this.
Well, thank you for sharing. Again, you're
Mhm.
amazing. Even if you roasted me, everyone does. We do that on a funny and jokey way, not like in
It's just
a
still, if at some point it becomes annoying and you feel like we're being mean, please tell us.
Yeah, I'm not shy. I'm direct. Like I'm just like you. Like when someone bothers me, I tell straight away. Like
Cool.
bottling up stuff is wrong. Just don't do
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But
So if you think at some point we're too much, just say it. and
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
move
but
on.
that's fine. Nobody crossed that line yet.
Great. All
Um,
right. So
have
I
a
will.
great day.
You too, guys. I will let you go. Gray, always great to talk to you.
Yeah, great to talk to you, sir.
Cannot wait for
And-
next week. Be ready for
Yeah.
next week, Alex.
I'm so ready for Fast X, man. That's gonna
Oh.
be.
The good one.
Have a good
I'm
one,
excited
Alex.
as well.
Hey, you
Take
too.
care.
Take care.
Take care. Have a
All
great
right, see
day.
ya.
So, it's just us two. A bit of a flavor of future stream, maybe. The color purple, man. I will let you start
Yeah.
as I copy paste.
Ooh. Ooh, I get to talk about the color purple, you say.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope this isn't a trend. It seems to be what's happening. No, granted, this isn't the first, book that's turned into a movie that's then turned into a musical, but we seem to be doing that a lot lately, and I really hope that's not going to be the thing. Like, hey, we can get some more money out of this project if we then turn it into a musical. I'm sure we've got Mean Girls coming up real soon. So, I'm sure we're all excited for the, musical reimagining of that. Awesome. So I got a bunch of problems with this flick, which sucks. I understand, like, it was, a quintessential feminist writing when it first came out. And then they made the movie. It's a Spielberg flick, and they made it like 3 years after the book was released. They made certain adaptations for that original flick, but they just changed so much of it for this musical. And I understand, it's a musical, so we're going to add songs into it. It's obviously going to be happier. There's going to be dancing, but it glosses over so many of the serious themes and the serious horror and trauma that is like inflicted on these poor women. And instead they're singing and dancing about it. I don't know. This whole film, to me, the tone of it just seems off. I really don't know why it was made. Apparently a lot of the leads that they had for the actual like Broadway version of it were not able or willing to do this, so they kind of recast some major roles in this. And I think in doing that, it really kind of takes away from a lot of what we had in that 1985 version. And then a lot of the performances, they have to be held up to that 85 version. And, there aren't that many people who just really applaud, Whoopi Goldberg's acting. But I got to say, in this one, she was sorely missed. What she was able to do, like just in little things, little characterizations, like, for instance, she was told in the book that her smile is ugly. I don't think they ever referenced that in the movie, but she was so into that character and knew that character so much. Every time she smiled, she kind of hid her lower teeth. She
Yes,
kind
they
of
do
shielded her
reference it.
face.
I remember they reference it.
Okay.
It was
Well,
subtle, but they did reference it.
Yeah, and they don't knock you over the head with it, but almost every time she's smiling, she goes to like hide her face. There's a lot of that that's just missing from this musical version for me, and maybe it's me, but just, and I understand it's something that happens with every musical. The outfits are over the top. Almost everything is like immaculate. It's just super clean. It's a musical costume. To me, that just doesn't work for this story and for where they're trying to tell it and what they're trying to tell. You look at the sets and like it looks well worn. It looks like everything does have like a layer of dust on it. But you look at every single costume and it's pristine. It takes me out of it so much, and it just takes the impact away from all of this. Instead, it like puts this candy coating on all of it, if you will. And I don't know that that's the best way to kind of represent this trauma. And then, like the redemption of Mister in this one, it doesn't seem like they put the same time into everything. We kind of went over this when we talked about the other flick, but the way that the book does it is very strange in that it's a lot of letters that she's writing to God, and then she also writes some letters to her sister, but there's no actual like date put on it. So you just kind of have to get the dates from the references that she makes in the letters. It's a little confusing. They try to change some of that in the 85 version by actually putting up like title cards. This is whatever year. Here it's a little confusing. I'm so sorry. My dogs are apparently fighting right now. Cool. I think they just ran to the other room. Sorry about that. It's just, there's a lot of things that just don't seem to connect for me here. A lot of it, I don't see the redemption of Mister in this one, where I kind of see the redemption of Danny Glover in, the 85 version. He's not actually like welcomed in the home, and he isn't having Thanksgiving dinner with them. Instead, he just watches from afar after he made it so that the reunion is going to happen between the sisters. They omit like entire characters in this one. I think now I can't remember Harpo's second wife's name. It's like Tweet, or I can't remember. It's something kind of birdish. So she's got like one line in this. She gets punched by the first wife, and that's like it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she mentions that she wants to be a singer. That gets way more fleshed out in the actual novel, and then even in the 85 version, you kind of understand what's going on with that. In the 85 version, they do gloss over the kind of lesbian relationship. Apparently, they didn't think that they could actually make that on screen in 85. And apparently that's one of Spielberg's biggest regrets with his film adaptation of the novel. And then in this one, it doesn't feel like they're really putting it front and center. One of the big criticisms I've seen is it isn't queer enough as well. However, they do have, her wake up next to the other character. So, I mean, like, they kind of imply it, but again, it's just not out there front and center. To me, this one is just, every part about it just seems to be, they're taking the teeth out of the wrong parts of it to me. They don't show, is it the mayor's wife or the governor's wife? I can't remember, but after, he's assaulted by Harpo's first wife. I really should bring up the character name. Unfortunately, I can't remember off the top of my head. Like in the 85 version, she really goes through like a second punishment where she's taken in by the governor's wife and barely allowed to do anything. And you even get that Christmas scene where, she doesn't get to see her kids. Like, she finally would get the day off. I don't know. All of that is kind of taken away here. And instead you get like a song about, Harpo. I can't even remember what that song was, but it just seemed in poor taste. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's got the same impact. And it feels like a lot of that trauma just gets candy coated with this whole
musical,
the pristine outfits and then the song and dance.
But they do hint at,
maybe I'm wrong. They definitely hint at it, but it feels like it's not enough. It doesn't have the same impact in this one to me. Yeah. And that could be, me subjectively. So I don't know. How did it feel for you, Multi?
Well, before I go over what I thought, you can read out Cole's comments. I just posted the comments in the chat.
Cool. So Cole's saying that he wasn't a fan of the musical score, and it felt overproduced at moments. I thought the cast was good and consistent throughout, outside of corporate plant Halle Bailey, the Little Mermaid. But none of them had moments that I thought were as exceptional as the original, which I don't think is any of the cast's fault, but more so the structure, editing, and pacing of the film. The direction, cinematography, and songs were good. The choreography was meh. And the emotional moments was overdone where I didn't feel much. This is basically another West Side Story 2021 for me. A big budget drama musical and remake that's good and has its moments, but stumbles in areas and feels fairly melodramatic. In the end, I'll take the character's other film, The Burial of Kojo, over this.
Okay. Well, I will sound crazy.
Did you have a better experience than we did, Multi?
I did. That's a movie I really enjoyed. Now, before I really get into my points, um, there's a few things I'd like to share. Number one, Doom Patrol season 1 and 2 add mixed well tones between drama and sadness, between satire and seriousness. They are blueprints we should follow. The color purple missed the mark on that one. So they did try to mix like happiness and sadness and drama in the color purple, but they failed poorly, and this is my first issue. The tone, most of the music didn't match what was going on, or most of the music took away from the seriousness of the movie. Some of the music didn't match uh, the drama approach and the sad approach to the heavy theme and story we get to experience. Only two songs really made sense: the shop song and the song they did right after the jail sequence in the middle of the movie. If more song at that tone, the movie would have been far better. Um, so this is my first issue. Now, um, another side note. Um, I plan on making a Barbie movie video. Now it's been replaced with a video about the Barbie movie and the color purple, because I do think the color purple had much better idea about girl empowerment and feminism than the Barbie one, and I thought that was much more subtle than the Barbie movie, where it feels like exposition dump on ideas and concepts. Here they are really subtle about it. They are really like sneaky and smart in the color purple. Um,
In some ways, it kind of feels like it's everything. I'd be very interested in your video on this. I might disagree with it, but I'd be interested in it.
Yeah, I will work on that for sure, but I got so many video planned. It just takes me very long time, especially like with our podcast and I start a new job next week. Well, actually, maybe not. Depends on how the interview goes tomorrow, but I'm very confident about it. But yeah, like I'm very occupied. That's the thing. Like I got so many videos planned, and this is just one among many. And the other side note is I don't like musical. This one may be the one of the exception, since I got hooked by the story and the characters. I liked every aspect of the production. Good music, good writing. Again, tone may be one of the small issues. Now, my last issue about this movie is telling instead of showing. Sadly, I can't remember where it was exactly. It would sit somewhere around the middle of the movie. So yeah, my two issues: tone and telling instead of showing. These are my only two issues with this movie. There are many things I liked: the growth of the main character, the growth of Sir Albert, and unlike you, I did thought he kind of earned his redemption by the end. I was like, oh, I'm satisfied with that. The feminist message was far better and more effective than what they tried to do with the Barbie movie. Feels organic with the story. It's subtle. It should be a blueprint on how to push a message in a movie.
Subtle. I really do look forward to you making this, because I think I disagree with it being subtle. Like, there is no redeemable male character in this at all. Like, there's a reason why the NAACP was going after this film in the beginning, and why James Baldwin was super against it. It is a feminist forward film at book, film, musical, but yeah, subtle. I don't know if it has been accused of being subtle, but fair enough.
I gotta also say something else. You mentioned the woman kiss and stuff. I seen a video made by SSJK. He was like basically reacting to someone leaving the theater because there were that of two woman kiss. It's
Are they just not familiar with it? Because like it's in the novelization. They really played it down in the '85 movie. Like the most they get is a kiss, but they even accused this one of playing it down.
I
Really? Like that made people leave?
yeah, and in my mind, it just boggles my mind. It's like, what? We are in 2023. Like, grow
Not
up.
those people.
We are no longer in the 70s.
Hmm.
It's I
I do have a couple of other things that I forgot. Like in the movie, the movie version, the '85 version, there's a couple of changes that they made for the musical. First off, now her stepfather or her mother's second husband, the father of her children, owns the general store. I didn't like that change. That kind of put them on a different socioeconomic level where before I kind of felt the desperation of why he would like sell the kids off, why he would sell his kids off. But I don't know, like it just makes him even worse of a person if he has a general store and like has money to do that. And then the second thing is like when she does meet Mister's children, they are so cruel to her in the original '85 movie. Harpo goes as far as to hit her with a rock. Like that's none of this. She just immediately gets in there, and then instead of every member, like every male member of the family being horrible to her, it's just Mister. I don't know. I think there's certain tones that they missed with this one, but I'm glad it definitely worked with you. I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right on this one. It didn't connect with me.
and I
But I do respect the '85 film.
again, like I said, the tone was an issue for me. But it was more like when they picked songs. I think the choice of 90% of the song was wrong, and I disagree with most of it. But again, I will say that maybe it's because it's more recent, but I connected with this movie, with these characters, and the production itself. I connected much more with this version than the other one. Um, Now, I'm not saying that the other one is a bad movie or anything. If I remember
I get it.
correctly, I gave like 7.5, which means it's good for me. But this one I just thought was the superior version. So when I hear stories of people leaving the theater for a kiss, I'm just so sad for society. It's like, bro, what? Why? Bro, anyhow. I think it's in my top 10 movies of this year. Um
Wow.
Probably equal or lower than May December, which is a movie we covered last week. Um, and the other end, like the fact that I did tear up twice in this version of The Color Purple may gave it the edge, because I did tear up twice. Um,
Hmm. Did it bug you that like the titular line was moved around instead of it being like where she's going through every bit of crisis and then she tries to console her by telling her, her belief in God. Instead, it's just kind of shoved in the middle, like right when she kind of meets. Now I'm blanking on the character's name, but they moved the actual like line about, you shouldn't ignore the color purple, to like when she's first meeting. What's her name? I can't remember now.
I was fine with it.
Sugar. Mm.
And the
Okay.
other thing I'd like to share on that is they wanted to make it different from the other drama. I feel like I don't know if it's because they hated the original or if it's because they really wanted to experience something different. Because this is why they did a musical. They wanted either to like pretend the other one doesn't exist, or they really wanted to like showcase that they can also have their own spin and their own take. Because if you just do a remake of a movie that already happened in the past, the best you can do is like a poor imitation of it. But now they gave it their own spin by being a musical. And again, usually I don't like musicals, but this one I feel felt justified. The way to improve it again is to do not make your tone clash with the music and what was going on and that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, it's one of my favorite movies this year. I don't have much more to say, to be honest. I think we covered a lot of ground there. Um, Cole grade out of 10 was a 6.5 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, I think that doesn't sound bad. I think I'd put it about like a 6. Again, I'd want to put a few of them above this one because I don't know, it just didn't affect me like the 85 version did. It felt like it was candy coated, and they're just not really. And I get it; it's a musical; it's always going to be. But I feel like there's ways that you can do a musical where it feels more lived in. Like I really love "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou." It feels like you do have like a full story there. You do have a full musical, but it kind of works. This, I felt like every time it goes to the musical, like, yeah, it was really cool visually, like especially when they're dancing on the record and everything. But I don't know, it just kind of takes me out of it. So I don't know. For me, I think this would be a 6, where the other one does score a little bit higher for me.
And when it comes to me, this is a solid 9.5 out of 10. One of the
Wow.
highest 9.5. That's why I do think
Did you
it's,
did you give Society of the Snow an actual 10, or was that
yeah, an
9.5?
actual 10.
Okay, so it's right
Because
up there. Wow.
guys kind of fixed the two issues I had with it. Like it's a miracle that these people didn't lose toes and fingers. And since both of you kind of convinced me that my issue were kind of wrong,
No, I mean, like,
I
they're real issue. I would think that too, but apparently they did not. Like, I would have thought a lot
yeah,
of them lost their noses too, but no,
yeah.
apparently they were lucky as hell.
Well, nose is it's a bit different. But yeah, fingers and toes because like when you're freezing, your blood goes back to your organs and the important parts, and fingers, since they're at extreme, they're not really considered like important, so the blood flow doesn't go there anymore, and this is why sometimes they need to cut off fingers because like it's a dead zone, if you know what I mean. um
Yeah.
so yeah, just
Yeah, they were all very lucky, but
it's a miracle.
I don't know, it seems like it was very cursed as well.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, but yeah, that one's definitely gonna stick with me, where I don't think I'm gonna be thinking about this one nearly as much, but I'm glad that it affected you, like, as heavily as it did. There's definitely a lot of production value that went into this, and, I don't knock the songs, just I think a couple of them kinda take away from the tone, but, they're catchy songs for sure.
yeah. So yeah, like I liked more this than what's the name? Winter snow
Society
society.
of the Snow.
Yeah, I liked the color purple much more than the other one, but I still gave a 10 because my issues don't really add up anymore after we talked, so that's why I gave a 10. But I'd say I prefer as a movie the color purple over um, Society of the Snow. Even if I gave it a your score, it, as I said many times, like it
Fair enough.
doesn't always align like my taste and the overall quality of something.
That makes
And
sense, and you don't have to justify that at all.
yeah,
I think I would rather see Society of the Snow, but I kinda wanna see those angles, the different lenses that, Alex was talking about, and then, I that score is kinda haunting to me. I'd kinda like to revisit that, but I definitely no knocking you for wanting to see this again. The, songs were definitely catchy. I might listen to the soundtrack again at some point.
yeah. But again, I said it like the music itself. Really like the two songs I mentioned after the prison and the other one at the shop were really good, but these are the only two really good songs in the color purple. Anyhow, that was a fun stream. Let's hope, Cole, you will feel better, my friend. I will keep taking
Sure, we
views
miss
from
you,
you.
man.
Yeah, I will keep thinking of you. I will be, yeah, yeah. Anyhow, what do you have going on your part of the internet, Yuri?
Well, I have this wonderful podcast coming out tomorrow, Windows to Our Minds. So definitely check us out there. And then every Thursday on That Darn Kiddas channel for the thinkers. Thinkers doing a think on every Thursday.
Yeah.
Come check it out.
Yeah.
Other than that, random videos at some point, but I need to work harder and faster.
I'm wondering how is the intro going with our Bob and intro?
That's on the list. We're getting closer to it, but yeah, I have put like zero effort in other than grabbing a couple clips, but grabbing them doesn't put them together and make an intro. So yeah, I think I found a song, but still need to actually get all that put together.
Hell yeah. And speaking of clips and stuff, it's episode 80 of our RedBlue. So this means we are 20 episodes away from the 100. And we will do something special on episode 100. I really hope we can get like every guest we had in the past. I really wish, I cross my finger. I don't think that will happen, but we can always hope, we can always dream, and it will be something special. Episode 100, I've been thinking about many things we could do, and you can think of that on your end as well to make it special. But I did consider making a compilation of all of my worst takes and all of these worst takes. A big compilation, So if you have ideas of stuff you could add, like a video we could do for that 100 episode to celebrate episode 100.
Well, I mean, I guess we could always throw my Hobbs and Shaw take in there. Apparently that's trash. So fair enough. We all have our own horrible takes, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I think that's
entertainment subjective.
I think that was your first one, and I guess that will be your last one. And
I'm off the show now. I get
that. That's hilarious because Cole has never gotten any bad take. Well, actually, maybe once, but I don't know.
Well, I think his take on Hobbs and Shaw is not so great, but that's a me thing.
Anyhow, as I said, think of what you could consider adding for that 100 episode. We got that episode, that video, that compilation. That will be fun. I need to piece the pieces together, and maybe we will do more. We will talk furthermore about that backstage and stuff. So thank you a lot, Dre. You're amazing as usual.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned sort of what you got going on, but what do you have going on, sir? I know that you might be making a Color Purple Barbie film, which is fun, but or video, I should say. But do you have anything going on this week?
This week, I'm not quite sure. Maybe in following weeks, I will start gaming again on my channel. And I will most likely play some Advance Wars because I'm long overdue a Advance Wars stream. Maybe next week, most likely. But yeah, there's the Barbie and Color Purple video. That's a project, but that may take a long time because, again, I will need to rewatch both movies to like really make that video. But that will be like more a comparison of like why I think one of the two failed, and you can already guess which one I think failed. I'm not saying Barbie is a bad movie by any means, but it
Barbie's based.
It wasn't great for me, at least, and I feel like Color Purple did better what Barbie tried to do. So that's why I plan on making a video placing side by side both movies, and I would need to rewatch both movies, of course. Otherwise, that I got another project again. I think that one will be released faster than the Barbie one because I already kind of started. It's basically a Batwoman and a Stargirl video because I'm a huge like DC stuff. I like DC shows. Batwoman was bad, but I still wanted to like have a video on it, and Stargirl was amazing to contrast what's good and what's bad, So yeah, that's future project eventually one day, maybe by the end of the year. I don't know when things will happen. Yeah, and so yeah, I guess that's it for my end of the internet. So
Hell yeah.
thank you very much. Great again. I'm always amazed. You are on point. You watch so many stuff. That's great. Um, thank you.
Hey, I enjoyed watching Hobbs and Shaw this time. So, it was different. But yeah, no problem, man. I always enjoy talking to you and getting your crazy takes as well.
Hell yeah.
It's good times.
Good times. Good times. See you tomorrow. Take care, and we will talk later. So yeah, there's Lucifer. So I will keep streaming.
Oh, yes, for sure, man. Sorry, I hit leave, and apparently I have to hit leave studio now. I didn't realize I had to hit the second button.
Anyhow, Lucifer first season. So Cole wasn't feeling well. That's why I am alone on that topic. And he said next week we would be two to cover Lucifer. So this means it's only my take. I will try to be brief. So yeah, I will debunk a popular issue some people may have. Lucifer doesn't wear gloves, therefore the police work sucks. My response to that would be Lucifer always has been depicted as someone who doesn't care about rules, so it's actual good writing. With that being said, you can already guess. I liked Lucifer first season. That was amazing. So the first season, I got um, three episodes that I really liked. Episode 12 with a 10 out of 10. Episode 7 with another 10 out of 10. And episode 2 with another 10 out of 10. Now, when it comes to my bottom three, we got episode 9. And episode 9 was a 9 out of 10. And this is my worst episode, what I believe is the weakest episode in the first season. My first issue would be plot convenience, finding the foot by the desk. Plot convenience, Lucifer bumping into the girl. Plot convenience, bumping into Connor. And the other on the substance exchange. I can't remember. Maybe that's like, oh yeah, I think I remember now. Despite being the weakest episode on a writing aspect, it is my favorite. Great episode. So it's a 9, but enjoyment value, it's through the roof. It's like almost on par of that top 3. So I'm a huge Lucifer fan, as you can see. So the second one in my bottom 3 would be episode 6. And now I am looking into my notes. So episode 6 was a 9.5 out of 10. With the first issue being plot convenience, being in the apartment at the moment the girl were coming back. Number 2, cannot aim. This means someone shot and didn't it? Hell yeah. Lastly, the third in the worst tree is episode 4, and I am looking into my notes. It is another 9.5 out of 10. Dialogue feels a bit off, tone clashing, trying to be funny. On sad moment, kind of break the narrative with a 9.5. So yeah, with the entire season now, I had no issue whatsoever. So highly recommend. The first thing I liked about the entire season, the deconstruction of religion was wonderful. Number 2, the deconstruction of parenting and free will were both amazing. Lucifer growth was stunning. He started as being like the worst type of person you can be to someone that you can care for, someone you can root for, someone that actually cares for others even if he doesn't want to admit it. Chloe's growth was great. She thought at first that Lucifer was just a monster, but then she kind of cared for him as well. She's like, oh, you're more than that prick. You're more than that jerk. That was great. Dan's growth was on point. Oh, yeah, he did stupid shit. Now he realizes it's stupid, so he tried to be better and to improve. This is what we call character arc here. May's growth was good. She was always following Lucifer, and in the end, she kind of get empowered to some extent, and she's no longer in Lucifer's shadow. She's just a friend. Even Lucifer's brother had wonderful growth. And this is funny because the brother was mainly used as a plot device. So usually your plot device character, they don't really matter that much. You don't really consider them that much in a character arc. But here, in this show, they do. They do care about that. This is amazing. I like it. Next thing to enjoy. Humor was some of the best on TV. Rock solid TV show. Even the weakest episodes are some of the best material you can get. Honorable mention in the episode I really liked. Episode 10, amazing in terms of entertainment, but weak in terms of writing. But again, I think that episode sits at a 9.7 or 9.5 because it didn't make the cut of the worst 3. So that's just really good. Now, in the past, I did give a lot of 10 out of 10. Well, a lot, not that much. So I would rank all of the 10s I gave to TV show season. First place, Stargirl third season remains on top. Lucifer first season becomes my second favorite TV show season. Doom Patrol season 2 is in third place. Superman and Lois season 3 is in fourth place. So Superman and Lois third season is my least favorite among the 10s we got. So with that being said, I'm really excited about season 2. I'm excited to hear Cole's thought when we will talk next week about Lucifer. So I don't have much more to say because I'm alone, and I thank all of you for watching this long. And you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. This shall be the end of this stream, and I cannot wait for next week. Take care. Have a good one.